But this year, if you get under 35, it's gonna take longer to go that route than.
35 and you hit, it's just like part of it, the factory.
Yes,
Right.
like my best chairs.
Because see, there's no, see, that's only a stop sign, east and west.
Really?
Yes.
Right?
The further south you go?
Yes.
So somebody
Yes.
asking for that?
East and west, and there's not a caution light or anything there.
Ken Sicard.
Oh, wait a minute, that's a highway.
No, this is what I had brought up.
75 south.
I'm gonna bring
So
it
you
up.
said
75 south.
Oh, is that what you call it?
Engineer.
Engineer, there you go.
I want to take off
Change.
one portion of the 75 north, move it over to 820. So I'm gonna bring it up. But, yeah, so it is same price,
Okay.
except 700 for a little bit of me.
So the industrial park road, it is on the agenda at 9:25, so you don't have to talk about it on your part, we'll bring it up again later.
Okay.
That's good. That's a good thing.
Sandy, did you say revive?
Good.
She will be 81 in September.
Order
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Okay, good morning, everyone. It's 8 o'clock. We'll get the commissioners' meeting started for June 2nd, 2025. Start with the pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, all the commissioners are here, so we have a quorum present. We have the payroll from the previous period. Anybody have any changes or concerns there?
No, sir.
I'll move that we approve the payroll.
Second.
All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. We have the May 19th, 2025 minutes. Any additions or subtractions on that?
No.
I'll move that we approve.
Second.
All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And then we have the claims. Any changes or issues there?
None.
I'll move that we approve.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Okay, first up, we have the highway report.
First of all, the White Stallion reclamation update. They're still moving forward with the reclamation of the mine. They had a big portion of the grass sowed on the north pit. They were also busting up a bunch of concrete up on the wash plant is what they call it. And they was moving all that concrete back to washouts and whatever else they got. So they're still moving forward, and I'm gonna meet up with Mike Costello here in the next week or two. He's supposed to be down there. So we'll meet up with him and discuss everything, what's going on. So,
What about the, I call them machines, trucks, I mean, there's like automobiles and things like that. Are we gonna do with anything with any of that? I mean, there was like end dumps left there, part of the scraper was left there.
a lot of those are disappeared. Wherever they went to, I have no idea.
Okay.
But I'm sure there still might be somewhere yet, but I don't.
Was the
They're
truck
supposed to be
there
getting rid of all that.
burnt and demolished and, oh, is this one?
I know like a truck, there was a truck that was just totally vandalized.
Yes,
And
yes,
that's gone. I know
Okay.
that. Everything on the north side is gone.
okay,
And there's a few different things over there, so I assume that should be,
okay. I haven't been back in there, so I was just wondering. Okay.
so. Let's see, chip and seal paving. The lower overlays are still on. It's been a bad week last week. We lost 2 days with the rain. But they're still going. We should be finishing up 750 today. and moving over to 320 North, and they should be on 500 North tomorrow, which should take tomorrow, Wednesday, and portion of the day on Thursday probably. So that's with the chip and seal. The IAC Summer Conference, it takes place on Wednesday and Thursday of this week, so I will not be around. I'll be up in Carmel on Wednesday and Thursday. Paving on 820 East. We are planning on removing a road section of 75 North, the portion east of State Road 545 from the hot mix overlay list, and moving it to 825 East, just south of 164. Gonna do that for the same square footage and the same cost of the 75 North project. They will be adding a $700 mobilization fee, just to move the equipment from 75 North to 820 like they always do. And we will put that on the next change, whenever we get the bid, we'll have it on the change order. So, but in order to move this project over there, it's gonna be a lot more beneficial for the public. So much more traffic on that road compared to 75. And plus there's that new Secret Meadows or whatever, like an event center up on top of the hill. And there's a turkey barn up there, a lot of traffic going in and out of there, heavy traffic. And plus the hill is facing to the north. So it's gonna be a lot better to scrape off the snow and ice. A lot better. So it's way more feasible to do that rather than the 75 North.
Yeah, I've spoken with you about it, and I believe commissioners have talked with you about it, so I think we're all in favor of
Okay.
moving forward in that direction.
Okay.
So did the company have a change order form that we need to fill out, or is there some documentation?
No, he said, I gave you that piece of paper there, that he just changed it over.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And then, like I said, whenever they tack that $700, and it may even be less, I don't know.
Mhm.
So, but if there's a change order, we will definitely get it made up for you whenever they do.
Okay, just for the record, I'll make a motion that we approve changing the road project, 75 North from State Road 545 to 820 East to 820 East from State Road 164 South, as we've talked about today.
I'll second.
Any other discussion?
No.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Do you need this back?
No, I got one.
Do you need it? Okay, so you can sign it.
Okay, and then, I just want to let you know, a little update that, we're short on work staff. There's no engineer, but he's gonna be here next Monday. I guess I can go ahead and say who it is. It's Levi Leffert. He is coming from the state. He's been at the state for 4.5 years. So this seems like a very knowledgeable guy. I mean, you guys have met him. I think he's gonna work out of there. Especially since he's been on the I-69 project. So hopefully it's gonna help us out on the corridor and many other ways, hopefully.
Absolutely.
So, and, okay, so besides him, one employee is on half days, for the last 4 or 5 weeks, and might be on it for a couple more weeks due to a blood clot in his leg. One more had back trouble to a personal car accident, but hopefully he'll be back this week. 3 more vacations coming up in the next few weeks. 2 of them on FMLA because of their wives having babies. So hopefully that'll be short term, hopefully just for a week. And then there's gonna be 2 surgeries coming up. One of them is from one of our operators, an ankle surgery. Just over the years, nothing, no workman's comp, nothing like that. And then, another lady in the office has carpal tunnel or something just for a couple of weeks, so it's gonna be a little short staff, but we'll be okay.
We're working with people, right? These things kind of happen.
Yep, absolutely.
Thank you for the update on that. Does anybody on the board have anything else for the supervisor?
Do not.
All right, that's all I got.
Thank you, Mr. Lee. so we do have 20 minutes until the next item on our agenda. So I do have several miscellaneous things. We'll try to get those out so that we don't have to add them onto the end of the list. So the first one, we talked about some problem structures at previous meetings. We had the Rob Sloan building that was on the main road in DuBois. And I drove by last week and looked, and I think one of the other commissioners said they went by within the last few days, maybe.
I went by yesterday.
And it looks much the same as it did before. So I looked back on our minutes of what the agreement was with him, and his contractor was to remove the dilapidated building portion, begin to May 25th. So last Sunday, I believe is when that was, and it was supposed to be completed by June 15th. So I don't know if, it doesn't appear that they've started. From whenever I was there last weekend, it didn't look like they were there this weekend, but they still do have time to meet the completion date of June 15th. So I believe at our next meeting, we will have that on the agenda, and we'll talk about that, take action if it isn't.
It is on that next one.
So I still have hope that his contractor will take care of that. Next miscellaneous item is this weather vane that we have back here. I don't think we talked about that at the last meeting. So just for as long as I can remember, we've had that eagle on top of the courthouse, and it blew off, and nobody noticed, I don't think, really. But, okay, Sandy noticed and no one else. And, looking back, I think I mentioned at the last meeting or one before that I looked at historical pictures to try to see how long it's been up there. And it seems like everyone cuts it off right at the top of the, is it a pergola, or I don't know what that thing, the top part of it is. Cupola, is that the word? Cupola, that's the word I meant. And so anyway, I've had Mr. Hove, the county custodian, talk about trying to replace it or get it back up there. And the folks from Helmings who go up there and do a lot of that metal work and do that high building work said that, let's see, what did they call it? He said that the post it was mounted to is very unstable. He thinks it is not a good idea to put stress on it by mounting a weather vane. So the Helming brothers, I guess, that go up and do that work, said it's not a good idea to put it back. That being said, if we want to put it back, I'm sure we can still find a way to put one up there or to repair the one that we have. I would personally say, I don't want to, it's not a project I want to take on. I think it's fine the way it is. If one of you two, anybody have any other thoughts on it? I mean, I think at the last meeting we said, we prefer to have it back up there, but I'm not willing to, I don't want to mess with it any further.
I don't either.
Did Helming say that they would put it back up if they could secure it?
I would bet they probably would if we'll pay them. They'll probably find a way to make it
Do you
work.
want me to find out how much they would charge it?
If you want to, it wouldn't hurt my feelings,
Okay.
but I'm not really strong.
Okay,
for
let me
it.
find out
Okay,
and we'll,
good enough. We'll talk about the weather vane at the next meeting, maybe, if you find any information out.
check.
Has anybody here ever noticed the weather vane on top of the? No?
Never
Yeah, never had. Just so you.
I like it up there, I do.
In case you didn't see it, here's part of it. Wow. What happened was the wind blew and it
Now you're all
Been
gonna
there
get
all
out
those
It got knocked off and it got broken due to some weather event, and we've got kind of a mangled bird now. So we'll see how that goes, maybe.
Sentimental value.
Okay, we have a couple surplus items this week again. The ambulance has found another defibrillator battery,
They keep going bad.
and so that's
Ambulance, and
one.
then there is an ambulance, that old training ambulance that Brian would like.
So that was the question we had.
That's the ambulance.
There's a 1998 Ford Econoline E450 Super. They have down that the value is $1,000, but I think that's
That's
probably.
insurance, that's deductible.
Oh, is that what that is? I
That's what
assume,
those numbers are. That's our insurance stuff.
I assume there's not a whole lot of value to it. It does run, I believe.
That's what it does.
So we got an old one. They used it for
From
training.
the remount? No.
No,
This is
Okay.
an old one that they got from a fire department that they used for training purposes while we were down in ambulance.
Okay,
And they had it just in case, but now our new one came in, so they need it.
so we can declare them surplus and we can just have him scrap it if we wanted. We can try to have it put on that Gov Deals again, if somebody, I don't even know who would do that, but
Did he put a value on that?
no.
He said he could reach out to fire departments and see if somebody would want it.
I'd be happy to just declare it surplus, let him find somebody to use it. I mean, we probably could get something for it, but if another department has a use for it, I'd rather them have it.
He said the other ones we've traded off, so we didn't have to worry about them, but this one
This
we
was
can't
too-
trade.
This is older and worse shape than most of them that we
Just
we
like I
have.
said, the fire department's might.
I think it's red, because it came from a fire department.
I think the Gov Deals thing works well. It'll be gone, we'll get something for it, or if there's, fire department or somebody that wants it, I'm not opposed to just giving it to them.
How about we declare it surplus, let him try to figure out another unit that can make use of it. If not, we'll come back and try to sell it. Sound good? Okay, I'll make a motion to declare both the defibrillator battery and the 1998 training ambulance as surplus items for Mr. Young to dispose of.
Second.
Any other discussion?
Nope.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Are you gonna contact him or would you like me to? Okay, next up is discussion on healthcare. I spent some time at our last meeting with some of our healthcare representatives and some of the people that are trying to help us manage costs, and they gave us some different ideas for programs and things that they have. I spent some time with Marky on Friday talking about those and trying to determine which ones maybe we should consider moving forward with, which ones we should scrap, and what would be in the best benefit of the county. Of course, we want to keep having a good insurance product for our employees. We want to be an attractive place to work, but we need to also understand that the prices and the cost that it is to the taxpayer goes up every year. One thing that I thought was an interesting thing to note, one of the items on here is talking about specialty drugs. So specialty drugs are becoming a larger portion of our spend every year on pharmaceuticals. One of the things that was interesting was in 2018, we looked at the numbers and it was about $80,000 that we spent on specialty drugs, and last year was $675,000. So to go up, over 7 times in 7 years is a considerable amount. That being said, these are usually groundbreaking drugs. There's some reason that people need to be on them. They're taking care of a problem that hasn't been taken care of historically, I think. So I don't know how I feel about this one, but one of the items that we could do is we could remove specialty drugs from what we offer to our employees. So we aren't required to offer specialty drugs. I was surprised to hear that. I figured, I just assumed that we had to. I'm not saying I approve or I think that's a good idea or a bad idea. It's just an idea that we could do. Another local unit doesn't provide those. So if you work for the city, they wouldn't be covered. If you work here, they aren't covered. So it's not a uniform thing that everyone covers. So anybody have any thoughts on that one?
Something to think about.
No thoughts today?
No. Not at this time.
I think I'd want to understand the ramifications of removing them before it.
Yeah, the tough thing is if you're somebody that's using them or one of your family members is using them and you were getting it covered, now you're not. Because I asked the same thing. I said, what would happen to somebody what if it was me and I'm using it? You take it away, then you have to go to usually these specialty drugs have those help programs where the company will help you pay for a portion of it or, to make it affordable. There are those, but it would put a burden on whoever these folks are that are using these things. But I wanted to bring that one up first, just to give to let you know breadth of the increases that we're seeing, you know. Because I think over the time that we've been commissioners, we've raised the deductibles and premiums maybe one time out of 8 years. And the amount that it costs us has gone up significantly. So. Okay, let's talk about a few more here. We've got about another 10 minutes here. So another consideration would be to add a copay to emergency room visits. Right now, there isn't one, other than, you know, it's just the standard. So we have some people that are using emergency rooms for non-emergent things, and that's very expensive. That's the most expensive way to get your health care, is if you go to the emergency room and you have a cough or you have something that's minor. And we do offer things like Teladoc, and we offer other options for people if they have a non-emergency issue. So a consideration would be to add a copay of $250 or $200 or something to each one of those. We don't want to make it so high that if people have a legitimate emergency, they don't go to the emergency room. If you cut your finger off, go to the emergency room.
Right.
You know, you're in a thing, we want you to go, but we want to make it so that it's an emergency when you're going. So how do you feel about doing something like that? I'm in favor of my $250 for the copay.
I don't think I'd be opposed to that. Was there not a way that they could deem whether it was emergency or non-emergency situation?
One way.
I thought we had discussed that once before.
I thought we used to have it higher if they didn't.
What they have the capability of doing is, if you go in and you go into the emergency room and they release you, then you pay the copay. If you go in and you get admitted,
Sure.
then you
Different story.
get the copay waived. So I don't know I think that's probably what you're talking about.
Right.
And I don't know that, then you're encouraging somebody to get admitted.
Well, I guess my question was, I mean, if you go in and you get 6 or 8 stitches, that's, you know, probably an emergency room visit. Could that copay be waived for that situation versus, I don't feel good today,
Yeah, I don't know how you
my
judge that.
doctor's closed, so I'm going to York.
But the fine line there, where do you draw that line?
Yeah, I don't know. And that's, we have to rely on our insurance to be able to sort that out.
Right,
So I would say, my family, I bet we use it once a year. And my wife, my son, something wrong with my son, it's an emergency to her and him, and they go. I wouldn't think it's unreasonable for me to have to pay that copay for that kind of a service,
Right,
because it's a
right.
premium service. It costs our plan an exponential amount of money compared to waiting till Monday, for the
well, if you go to urgent care and they're closed at 9 o'clock and this, something happens at 10 o'clock at night, or, the after hours.
I think it's a reasonable thing, though.
I do, I agree. I mean, most insurances do have a copay.
we would still have a deductible and things like that.
Most insurances do.
Okay, next item is Blue Mind Clinic. This is something we talked about last time. The HR director did talk with the folks in Clark County. They're the only other one in Indiana that are using it. There's a lot, they do it a lot in Kentucky, but in Clark County, the human resources person and the commissioner that he was in contact with both had positive experiences with it. They think that it's really good for them. That Markey has said that he's generally not pro-clinic. He usually isn't a big fan of it, but he said that the way that they do it is seems like a good model, better than any of the other ones that he's looked at, and we could run our wellness through them. So
Might be a good idea.
if we paid $180-some thousand, whatever the amount is that they said they were going to charge per year, approximately, just doing our one wellness day costs $14,000. So that would be something that we would save. And if we bring spouses along, which is another thing that we'd like to do, because the spouse of an employee could be just as sick as the employee and cost the plan just as much as the employee, so we could bring them on too. So that would be an additional, hopefully better wellness outcome and maybe a savings. So my opinion is that we're not anywhere we're not 100 miles from signing a contract with them to build here. They have a lot they need to do, but I'm still pro moving forward with exploring it. Are the two of you still on?
Oh, yeah.
Still on board, I agree.
What is your thoughts, Commissioner Hoffstetter, on the clinics? You may know better, more experience.
Well, my work has a clinic. I think it's great. It's just super convenient. Saves me money. I think saves the company money, because it's there for, it's the little things that you go in for. It's hard to get into your family doctor for. And I think a lot of people maybe don't even have family doctors anymore. So this clinic can kind of replace that, and get them on route to better wellness.
So like at your place, if somebody has something, they need an antibiotic or something that's pretty common, can they do that through your thing?
And typically they have it available at the clinic.
Makes it easier, one step easier. Okay, so I'll see if we can keep that conversation going, just to let them know that we are interested, that we're not a no on that.
Now, the clinic that's at Jasper Engines, can the public go there as well? How
No,
do they draw the line? No, okay.
no. So like my wife and kids can go there, but not public.
Spouse and children, okay. I think it's a great idea.
Yeah, so this kind of goes along with what we just talked about. Are we interested in requiring any covered spouses to participate in our screenings? So the DuBois County screening is this week, and the way we have it set up currently is employees have to go through it, or they don't have to. They get a better, they get a discount on their health plan if they do go through it. But we don't require spouses, so it's been recommended from Markey and from other people, Houchins, to require the spouses if somebody's on.
If somebody's on it, I think they need to participate.
You're gonna have to provide 9 hours or something,
Agreed, understand.
or
That,
a
or
weekend or something.
if they've done a yearly checkup with their regular family physician, they could submit that as well.
Right, so,
I would love to see us get on at my employer, we do it during birth month, rather than having that one window throughout the year where everybody has to go in. Everybody goes during their birth month.
Well, if you do the clinic, that would be
Yeah, that would be,
doable.
and then that gives people a little more range as far as working it in as well, so.
yeah, I didn't know, I asked about that too with if we had ran everybody through the clinic, we wouldn't be the only participants. It'd say it would be us and three other companies, and we would all use the same, share that clinic. Seems like we couldn't really shut it down for our wellness for a
It
day
could
or
be
two.
1,000 to 1,500 lives that they would cover. We only have about 200 employees, even though we have 500 people on the plane. They only count the employees.
Right.
Okay,
But if you've had a yearly checkup, physical, or your family physician, you can submit that as well, would be
You
A
can
plus.
now, but
You
it
know
has
what
to
I'm
be in a
saying.
certain window.
right.
this is just kind of a side note here. Marky's gonna ask the Houchins group to run our numbers to see if switching to us being fully insured, if that's something that might make sense for us, because now we're self-insured, so we get a bill, we pay,
Pay our
We
fixed
pay a bill.
costs and our point.
yep,
Up
and
to the reinsurance, right?
And then we have reinsurance that goes, to protect us from the high end for things, but I said, I don't see how it would be any cheaper or any better for anyone, but I said, if it doesn't cost us anything, it doesn't hurt to look at it.
Right.
So. Care Connect, if you remember, we talked about this last time too, this is currently the company name is Heinz that is doing this work for us, and they track some of our folks that have medical issues, right? They keep an eye, they try to manage those large issues. And Marky ran the numbers, and I think we've paid Heinz last year over $16,000. And if we use Care Connect, It would cost about $13,000, and he said that the services that they provide and that he thinks what it'll do for the county would be a move in the right direction. So I think that high cost management or, those high cost claims, I think would be a good thing to move. Do either of you have an issue with that?
No, no issue.
All right, there might be a couple other things, but I'll bring those up back for later in the meeting.
So instead of, why do you want to use Care Connect?
Yes.
Seems too long.
Okay, it's 8:30. I see that Carlos Riegel Winter is here. We have trash court. Do we need to adjourn the regular meeting? We don't do it.
No, we can do it within it, I believe.
Okay.
You'd recess it.
Pardon me?
Not adjourn it, recess.
A recess, okay.
Sorry.
Thank you.
Would recess it?
We can recess it, yes, sorry.
So we need to recess the standard commissioners meeting. We will do that, and then we will begin the trash
The
court.
word adjourn threw me off. Like,
Okay.
so gotta do it. So,
I haven't watched enough Law and Order lately. All right, let's see. Please continue.
All right, I'm Carla Striegel Winter, DuBois County Solid Waste Management District. We are here this morning to bring up a case of a property maintenance issue case of the Kippenbrock on Old State Road 64. And I thought that we were gonna have somebody here today from the Kippenbrocks, but
I thought so as well. I know that two members of the household reached out to the auditor's office.
Several times.
One reached out to me directly, and got the impression, I encouraged them that they want to be heard, they should come, so.
Yeah, he called and didn't want to come, and we kind of encouraged him, and then she called and said, why does she have to come? We referred her to him.
okay, well, let's see if they're.
Okay.
Downstairs.
There.
There, yeah, they were downstairs. So we, they hold up till they arrive.
Yep.
Does this trash court have a number?
Case number, yeah, and I'll get that to you in a sec here, but, it's 2023-0720-P. And I have a packet for you, so, once we get started, you'll have that packet.
This is the right place, come on in. To the right. Just have a seat here. Anywhere's fine.
Morning.
Good morning. All right, I'll just start over again. So this is Carla Striegel Winter, DuBois County Solid Waste Management District. We are here, this morning on a property maintenance issue case, and I'm just going to pass these packets out, and I'm just gonna review this with you. So, and I've got one for you too.
Thank you.
Think I have enough for everybody plus me. If I count it right. Perfect. Okay. I got it. So I just kind of want to go over what this is. So that first page on the report to the commissioners, that is just kind of overview of everything, and then some of what my recommendations are going to be, but we won't go over that right now. First, we'll look at the second page, which is the notice to the attorney to do a trash court case. And on those details, I just kind of want to let everybody know this did start with a notice of ordinance violation that was sent in November of 2023. And since then, I've had informal contact with Lance Kippenbrock, which the property is under Kurt and Cynthia Kippenbrock. I've never heard a word from them, didn't know, I mean, I assumed Lance was living there and never heard anything from Kurt or Cynthia. So he lives and operates a firewood business from the location. There were some changes that were noted after we had our discussions and after I got the letter out, and he did contact me and made some progress, but that quickly went back to no progress at all. So the issues that I have that still exist are there's large amounts of various items stored all along the property edges. Okay, and then it was, the Kippenbrocks were told to remove those from the edges, have a central storage area that is closer to the home and the business instead of next to their neighbors, basically. Privacy fencing was recommended for the storage area, junk in the front yard that is not being used for the primary business, and then vehicles that may not be registered, and this is actually new from the initial issue. So if you look at the next page, there is the initial notice of ordinance violation that asks them to have the property into compliance and remit all receipts by December 11, 2023. Typically, we use that as a sort of, even though it's formal, we use that as a sort of way to get folks moving, and then we work with them informally. So I did work with them informally through 2024. If you go to the next page where the property card is, you can actually see on the property from the aerial photos all of the stuff that's along the edges of the property. You know, there is a business being run from the property, but these are all just things that are stored, and instead of being stored closer to that person's residence, you know, it's all along the edges, which, you know, none of the other yards in the area have anything stored in them. And it is unsightly. So then the last page is the notice to appear that was sent. And then on the back side of that, you will see that they did receive the notice to appear, which I usually have that in case we don't have a folks showing up, just to prove that we did get that to them. Okay, so next I have photos from 2023. Okay, so on this, if you can see, there's a, it's a gravel road, and on the very first picture, what we're looking at is not the landowner's residence. This is a neighbor's residence. And if you look kind of beyond the trees behind that house is all stuff that's stored along the edge of the neighbor's yard. Then the second page, you'll see along the gravel road again, and all of the stuff that's sitting there is in the Kippenbrock's yard. Now, most of the stuff you're seeing there has something to do with the firewood business that is there. But as you can see, it is sort of scattered around and close to the edge of the yard. And then the last picture on that, this is all stuff just showing how debris, just different stuff is stored all along the edges of the property and not in a central location. Per the ordinance, it's fine to store stuff, but if you don't store stuff in a tidy manner, and it looks like junk, then, you know, it is in non-compliance. So now I have photos from 2025.
Did you say all three of these are 23?
These are all 2023. And so in 2023, we had some issues, but again, running a business there, I can't look at what is part of the business, as long as it's, it's a firewood business, so there's gonna be, wood stacked everywhere, and there's gonna be equipment, and there's going to be, they're using we call them IBC totes, the big chemical totes to store, and to use for the business. So there's gonna be stuff like that sitting around, and that's all being used for the business. So there's no issue under the property maintenance ordinance for that, other than, it's kind of unneighborly. Obviously it would be nicer if the whole place was fenced off so the neighbors didn't have to see all of that going on. But, so on our 2025 photos, again, we see the first house that you come to is not their home. You cannot see in this picture very well, but there is still stuff because stuff has grown up. There is still stuff stored along the edges. And then you can kind of start to see the stuff looking. So if you turn to the next page, you can see what I'm talking about. In the background, you see a huge pile of firewood. And so that's part of the business. And then we also see a black metal dumpster. And so they're also collecting metal and sending that off, for money. I can't really have an issue with that either, as long as they keep moving it. So they've got metal dumpster there, so they keep moving it. So, if that was just sitting there for months on end with none of it being moved, we'd have an issue with that. So I'm just kind of pointing out a couple of things. Now, initially, there were a bunch of vehicles sitting around, and now we have vehicles sitting around. So, per the property maintenance ordinance, those vehicles need to be licensed, registered, and in operable condition. And they're, again, just all sitting kind of toward the edge of the property. So you go to the next one, that's just a little bit closer up look of what we were looking at before. And then the very last photo.
So right there on that page, the third one.
Yeah.
The
third one that
There is
posts up with the vehicles.
So where that looks like a white plastic container of some sort,
Yeah,
is that the approximate property line?
I believe so. Is that
No,
property line property?
it's on you can't see the property line in the picture.
The property line is very close to the neighbor's house. It's just a couple feet from their house. The tree line, so basically the property line.
Okay, thank you.
So like this tree here, is that in the neighbor's house or your?
Real close to the house.
That's our tree,
Okay,
so it's in between the tree and the
okay,
electrical then.
okay. So close to the driveway, basically. Or, yeah, between the electrical. So if you go to page 2,
You can see how close it is. It may be just several feet from the neighbor's house.
so if you look at page 2, or the second page of those photos, and you see the electrical or the telephone box, there's like a box right in front of the tree. They said the line is in between that box and the tree.
Got it, thank you.
And then, so if you just go to that last photo, this is the front yard. And you can see there's weeds starting to grow up around. And this is, again, now some of this may be used for the business, but it's just spread out everywhere. And I can't say anything against the business, but like, you don't need tires set against the trees. And when you've got a bunch of these other containers stacked elsewhere, and then you've got, a dump truck sitting in the front yard, we're just, it's just the property just has some issues. Again, if we go back to that very first page, on the report of the commissioner's case, and down to the recommendations. These would be my recommendations. Reimburse resources plus an additional fine. All items stored along the edges of the property would be moved to a central location, not along the edges of the property, within 15 days. All items moved to that central location to have a fence or structure built around them which blocks the visibility from all surrounding property owners and from the public road within 30 days. That gets them in complete compliance if they do that. And then number 4, all visible vehicles on the property need to show proof of valid current state registration and license plate, and that they're able to move by their own location within 15 days. Those not meeting requirements are to be removed or removed from visibility within 30 days. Again, that gets them into compliance, either to have all of those registered with current registrations, or not in visibility at all. So that would be my recommendations on this. And I can take questions, comments. At this point.
Okay. I don't think I have any questions for Carl Strigel-Winter right now, but we'll pass it on here to see if anyone else does.
One question would be, how far from the edge would be acceptable? How far from the edge of their property? Is there like a setback rule or?
There is not really, according to the property maintenance ordinance, there's nothing that says stuff has to be away from the edge of your property. That's just me saying, if they have things to store, storing those centrally located and not in a messy manner all the way around their property, to me is going to show compliance. I have nothing wrong with if they are going to be storing items. It's that it's spread everywhere, you know. And then just kind of, I mean, and this just sort of, ideally, it would be fenced off from visibility, that storage area. You know, or a building. Building's obviously a lot more expensive than a fence. But, you know, a lot of times you see businesses like this have a privacy fence around the entire business. And that's, you know, either to be part in ordinance or just to be a good neighbor. But I'm not suggesting that the entire property needs fenced in order to be in compliance. But it's either everything, all that stuff needs to get removed or it needs to get tidier. I mean, and if it's, I don't foresee them wanting to move everything off the property somewhere else. If they do, that's great, as long as we can't see it somewhere else. As long as it's out of visibility, you know, and with the maintenance ordinance, it cannot be in visibility of public road or neighbor's property. So, that's just a solution that I'm seeing and that I'm recommending. They may come up with something else. And if you guys, you know, agree to something else, that would be fine too. But that's just kind of my recommendation of what this would bring this into compliance, is to have that storage area fenced. Again, we're not talking about having the business fenced off, but any stuff that's being just stored around. And I'm not even talking about the stuff that they're using continuously for the business. Because as you can see, there's just stuff just sitting around, and it's been sitting around forever.
Is there a building sitting behind the property beside the house? Is there a building there?
I don't think so. We do not go on the property at all. We do everything from public road. I'm not seeing a building behind the house according to the,
That's a garage. I think that you're seeing there's a driveway that goes into a garage, and then to the west of the garage is the home.
yeah, the home is the larger structure.
Does that sound accurate?
Yeah, and there's nothing,
It's like beside it.
there's nothing in that large, kind of backyard area. Now, I mean, my suggestion of the central location, behind the yard, that's just a recommendation. If there was a better place to do a building, on a back corner and it was all, you know, blocked off from visibility, then that could be a recommendation as well. But those are just recommendations that I came up with for you guys to look at and think about.
Okay, so again, the owners of the property are Kurt and Cynthia and Case? Or who's the son?
Lance is the
Lance.
person that I've dealt with, and this is Lance here.
Okay, anything else for Carla?
No,
Okay, let's let the homeowners have anything they'd like to say. Any comments? You're welcome to come up and say anything you'd like to say about the situation, please.
You want both of us or one of us?
Whatever, if both of you want to talk, you're both welcome to.
Do you guys have any questions for us first, or just like what we're doing with all
You
this?
can just, so you've heard what was brought up so far in the trash court. You can tell us about your situation, about just the arguments that have been brought against you, the item storage, the broken vehicles, and the miscellaneous items around the property. If you want to address any of that, you're welcome to do that now.
We are holding a couple of vehicles for like friends and family, but they'll be gone within the 30 days. That's what it said. And then everything else will be gone, all the stuff along the edges and in the yard, everything besides the metal frames, just the cages that we store the wood in. It's all out to be disposed of real soon. I got a container coming today, and the full one will be swapped out.
You're talking about the black metal container?
Yeah, I've been smashing it down, so I was waiting on him, and then I called him this morning, and said, yeah, I can come out today now. He was busy with other scheduled jobs.
So you're saying there's items around the property that are, you've got the dumpster
Trash.
full.
Yeah, and he's
They're gonna
swapping
take
it
that out, you're
out.
gonna move the other items that are on the property into the dumpster.
Yeah, today. And that'll be some pretty good, fast progress.
And you're not collecting metal, this is just to help clean it up?
Yeah, just like heavier
Not
metal
collecting, but
and stuff.
recycling.
Right, well, I
There
didn't
is a
know if that's
difference.
something you constantly do, bring metal in and then,
He's helped people out, friends out, and family
Yeah,
with
we have a large
cleaning up.
family, so they always just come to me, but I'll have to let them know. You know, if I do that, I'll just have to be at your house, you know, like, just can't bring anything home anymore.
So what's the nature of your business? Let's just start there.
We've always just done firewood at our house, and then just,
Can you explain to us a little better, what does that mean? What does it take to have a firewood business?
well, we usually haul it from our neighbor across the highway, and we just cut it and split it at the same time. And
So a guy that lives in the neighborhood, he has a tree fall down, you go get it, you cut it up, you bring it to your property, you split it, you make it.
Yeah, we do his wood for his heating for his house and trade of going to get the wood at his house.
Okay. Is that the whole of the business is making firewood, or are there other products that are made?
Just,
You don't do anything with vehicles,
no,
and metal of any type isn't part of your normal business?
no.
Nothing other than trees come from various places, you cut them and you put them in a.
Yeah, it's like for friends and family, just helping them.
Is your business registered with the state of Indiana?
No, just,
Do you file tax returns on your business?
never had to.
Okay, so it's not a business.
No, it's just something I've been doing since high school.
So then all of these things that she's talking about, and
Business.
sometimes, so I guess kind of to clear up what she's going at here. If a person that, we don't have zoning in Du Bois County, so if you have a small business on your property, you run it through your personal tax returns, or you run it as an LLC of some sort, then those people have certain protections, right? We can't do certain things to those folks. We have to allow them to try to make a living. If you're not a legitimate business, then you're just a guy with a bunch of stuff in his yard, right? I guess that's how I would sort of look at that. Because if you're not paying taxes on it, you're not doing it as a normal business, then those protections, I think, go away. So that's just something I wanted to bring up there. The vehicles, yes, if they aren't operable, we need to get those out of there. If they're not registered, we need to have those out of there. So just for the board's sake, I've been looking at this property for, I don't know, 3 or 4 years, and I believe it started out with a little bit of wood. And then it continues to grow, which is in some ways good, I guess, in some ways not, if you're a neighbor that doesn't want to see it. They've also had IDEM call for fire burning that has happened late at night. And I think that was deemed not an issue because they didn't catch anybody in the act of doing burning. We also had problems whenever they had items that were really too close to the road. It was a safety issue for the highway department. When that was brought to their attention, they did move that back. So I just want to give you a little bit of a history that this has been a slow growing situation, I guess, over the years. And I think that's really all I have to say about it. Is there anything else you want to say, ma'am?
I know he's working on it, and I have been discussing with him too, that like some of the items are randomly put here and there.
Mhm.
So I said, at least, make it look like it's not just a barnyard, and
Yes.
so he's working on it. I've seen him doing that. He is busy with things that are just happening in other people's lives where they call him and say, hey, man, I need a favor or I need help. So that stops him. He drops everything and goes to those people. So that's puts his stuff on hold. But he is working on it.
We'll have, look like a normal yard, entire yard, not just around the edges, just the entire yard.
Can you clarify for me what you mean? So you're saying that, so if I came to look at this property, end of July, what am I gonna see when I go there? What is your plan?
Just no scrap metal on the ground, no junk, all that be disposed of,
Okay,
and just try to have clear everywhere we can see. Nothing.
so the vehicles will be gone?
Yeah, two of them are ours, but those would be gone. And then
One, we
everything
already
else is
gave
theirs.
that person, that person already had 30-day notice, so hopefully within 2 weeks, if he ain't removing it, we will.
Yeah,
And we're looking forward to that, because we didn't like it from the very beginning when he started putting it there. And then the other one, he did a favor for a buddy again, and I told him a couple weeks ago, I said, can't wait on that buddy no more. It's on our property, we're gonna have to take action. And he understands, but he feels like he's gotta be nicer to the buddy, but he knows now it's gone. So,
it'll be pretty good at swapping containers if I need more to put the junk in.
the rainy weather hasn't helped neither. I know it's been going on for a few years, like you guys said, but it's been, and the slope of the land doesn't help that much with him, with wood,
A fence wouldn't work, just the neighbors sit on the hill.
Right.
But a building would work if you had a spot to put it.
Okay. Mr. Schneer, I don't know if you can do it off the top of your head, or if you know, what is the range of action we could take? We'll start with the fine. What is the distance that we could go there?
A moment here.
Okay.
Got it pulled up. I want to say it was up to $1,000.
So for the board, is there any questions you have for the Giffen Rocks here?
No, not at this time.
Up to $1,000.
Per what? Per violation or per,
Per violation.
so if there's 3 vehicles, it's $3,000, or is it, or are vehicles in total one violation?
I believe the being out of this, I think it's the whole case.
Okay, per case. Okay, so we have the recommendations from the solid waste were to reimburse for the resources that were spent plus a fine.
What was the total on the resources spent? Do you have that?
if it, at 20 hours, which we have spent more than that, I would say like $480, just as an estimate on that. I do have a further question for them, if that's okay. Is that all right? or-
Just one moment.
Okay.
Okay, so some of the other items that were listed on here were the items stored along the edge of the property to be moved, basically to keep it from being spread around the whole property. She's recommending that it you kind of keep it in one area. Next, items, or you get a fence to hide them. All visible vehicles in the property need to show proof of valid current state registration. Okay, so those are some of the different issues that they had on there. And now you can go ahead, please.
Yeah, I just had, you mentioned the dumpster, so that is a metal dumpster, correct?
Yeah,
Okay, you have stuff that isn't going to be,
yeah, that'll be disposed of,
okay, okay,
yeah, very quickly,
okay.
everything. Gone.
So what I won't speak for the whole board, because I just want you to have a property that, I want you to, if you're doing a business, please make it a legitimate business. If you have junk, whatever you want to call it, all around the property, please just clean it up, be a good neighbor, and keep it safe for people too. Those are the goals that I have, and to get junk vehicles off your property, to not be a nuisance, right? All of these items. So those are the things that I'd like to see happen. My recommendation to this board, because I'd like to better review the property maintenance ordinance, I'd like to give you a couple weeks to look at this, try to clean up the area, for me to review the ordinance and to rule at a subsequent meeting. So that's what I would like to do. I want to be able to look at the rules, give you one final chance to improve whatever you're going to improve, and see how it goes. That's where I would want to be. Commissioner Hostetter?
I would agree. I'd like to give you a chance to get it cleaned up. Just get it organized. And if you're running a business there, I mean, I get, you can run a business under your personal name. You should be filing taxes with that income as well. And just get it organized and cleaned up and make it look nice from your neighbor's house too. And just be neighborly.
Commissioner?
I agree. Clean it up for your neighbors. That's a big thing. I agree with, the deadlines and stuff that Carla has got in place here. I agree with those. And possibly look at a fence or something, or a building to store most of this stuff in. So, okay.
Mr. Schneider, is there any issue with us putting this on hold, bringing it up in 2 weeks?
You can basically take it under advisement and reset it out for the June 16th meeting date and see where they're at that point.
I would like to do that if we could, unless the board has an objection. We could rule today, or, because what I don't want to do is say, you owe us $1,500 fine, and just, it has been a long time, right? And the issue hasn't gotten better, it's gotten worse. So I'm not real sympathetic on one hand. On the other hand, I want to encourage people to do the right thing, to not have a heavy hand if we can avoid it. So, also, I would say that if one of us or all of us, or however this works, drive out there in 2 weeks, the days, because I'll probably come out the Sunday before next meeting and I'll be like, what kind of progress did they make? And if it looks like you've done nothing, that'll probably weigh on my judgment versus if you're taking significant action. So that's just food for thought. So that being said, I'll move that we postpone making judgment until the June 16th meeting. And what time will that be?
Probably 10:45.
Does that work for solid waste?
Yeah,
You don't even necessarily have to be here.
it should. I'll be there for the budget earlier.
She'll be here, Carla will be here at 8:30 for her budget, we do 8:45, and I can move the highway to the end.
That'll be fine. And same with you folks. Of course, we're gonna have another trash court at that time at 8:45. So you're welcome to be here to represent yourselves if you'd like in any way. But we will be taking action one way or the other at that time. And do you have anything else final to say? No?
We appreciate it. Thanks for the opportunity.
Sure. And anything else from solid waste?
No, I'm sorry, it is 8:45, then you're gonna be able to do
June
that.
16th.
And if you have any questions on the ordinance is online, or we can provide you a copy. And if, I'm sure we've been in contact with some of the people here, if you want to contact any of the commissioners, our phone numbers are on the website as well, if you have any questions for us. Thank you. Anyone else?
No.
Okay, we'll close that trash court.
Did you make a motion or did you not make a motion?
I
You
did,
made a motion.
I did what?
You made a motion to postpone for 2
Okay.
weeks.
I'll second.
All in favor of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. So, we'll call the, regular commissioners meeting back into, session.
Before you do that, on the stuff that I have printed out, do you guys want to keep this, or do you want me to pull that together so I can bring it back out?
I'd like you to keep them and put them back.
Okay, I don't want to put them back together, you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
But if you want to, if you think you can
I'll
bring
hang
them back,
on to it, I ain't gonna forget.
Okay. and you'll bring them back, okay?
Thank you, Carla.
Thank you, ladies. Okay, we're a little late for, our next piece of business, Purdue Extension, staffing changes.
My phone number's on there.
Please come up.
Yeah.
Morning.
Hello, good morning. Right, so I do have papers for you. Apparently I was really bad at email last week. I hope that maybe some of you found these. Hello, ladies. Doing well. I
So did you determine, was this sent out or was it not? Did I lose it?
I don't know.
Okay.
I thought it was sent out and I thought it was attached to the email that I tried to get it to you.
Okay,
I don't know. I must have been bad at email or I don't know where it went.
okay, so for the record, who are you, please?
For the record, my name is Chelsea Brewer. I work for Purdue University Extension here in Du Bois County. I am the County Extension Director as well as a Health and Human Sciences Educator. Today, I'm coming to you with a proposal to adjust our county-based staffing to realign a little bit better with what we're seeing as needs in our office as well as needs within the county. Currently, we are staffing one office manager, one program assistant. We have a vacant administrative assistant position, and then we have a part-time support staff person that comes in and helps us on various projects. My proposal for you today is to eliminate that vacant administrative assistant position and let the office manager absorb those duties because they do overlap quite a bit. And I did include both of those job descriptions for you in your packet.
Can
And
you
the
tell me, I'm sorry, I apologize.
Sorry.
We've got office manager, program,
assistant, an
Program assistant.
administrative assistant,
and then a part-time support.
and yes,
Thank you.
Yeah.
And you're saying you wanted to eliminate the administrative assistant position.
in favor of adding another program assistant position that is dedicated to bilingual work. With me today, I have Rosina Sandoval, who is the Executive Director of ALASI, as well as Christian Bloom, who is the Board Chair for ALASI, to kind of help me speak to those different demographic needs that we are seeing within the county. Our percentage of Hispanic declared residents is increasing every single year. Just from 2020, it was 7.9%, 23, it was 9.7, and I just looked up 24 demographic data on Friday, and it's 10.2. So we're rising every single year that we get data back. Our schools, specifically Southwest and Greater Jasper, Southwest has about 2,000 Hispanic students throughout their entire population. Greater Jasper has 3,200. So we're seeing a large amount of Hispanic students as well as just Hispanic residents within the community. So with that comes great disparity in services. Yet I cannot assume that all of these residents speak English, but I also can't assume that they don't. And so I really need a person that can speak to whatever language is their preferred learning language. So that's my thought process behind why I really would like this bilingual program assistant to be a permanent feature, its own position that remains bilingual regardless of the person that we have in the position. The COMAT is the same for administrative assistant and program assistant, but the job descriptions are a little bit different. So the administrative assistant position did more clerical work, whereas the program assistant is seen as merely a secondary educator. They get a lot of guidance from the educator, but they are able to go out and do educational programs. They're able to work with community partners. In this case, this person would run our Juntos 4-H group, which is a 4-H group dedicated to those who are of Hispanic heritage and works with not only the youth, but also the family to really create an inclusive environment. And it works a little bit on almost 21st century scholar-like, where we teach them the opportunities for growth in the future. So that this person would be responsible for running that club, as well as everyday programming around Hispanic-related needs that we're seeing. I know we've been hearing a lot lately, a need for diabetes education in Spanish. And I can't do that. And I don't know anybody in the county that can do that. And so we're really struggling. We've been trying to work with IU to provide that, but it's just not working. And so, I already have projects lined up for this person, trainings lined up. We have big dreams, big hopes for what this could be for our county. What questions or thoughts do you have about this idea?
I don't have any thoughts or that right now. This is, I need to look at it, because I guess
I know.
because of our communication problem, I haven't had a chance to think about it.
I didn't explain my thoughts behind what's gonna happen with the office, with the office manager absorbing the administrative assistant. So let me explain that a little bit. Way back when those two positions were given to us by the county, we were doing all 4-H enrollments by hand. So they were paper filled out forms that families would bring in. They would write a check or pay cash. And so we were doing a lot of paper management, filing, tons of file drawers full of everybody's records. Now in 2017, that all went online. So it's all an online registration. Paper forms don't exist anymore. So that cut back on the workload. In 2020, 4-H Online started accepting credit cards. So again, you're not having to match payments with people anymore. So that workload has lessened a whole bunch. And then recently, just in 2024, all of our volunteer trainings and our judge trainings went online as well. So again, less paperwork, less management of the program, to a point where I believe that that administrative assistant position can be absorbed by the office manager. And I have talked to past and current employees about this. Everybody is in full support. It's not just a harebrained idea that I had and brought to you guys. We've talked about it. They are in support. Everybody believes that this can also be successful for our office.
Any comments from Commissioner Hofstadter?
No, I want to do what we can to help you, support you, and let you run your office as you see fit. I don't on the surface have any issues with this.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't have any issues with it either. I was just reading the responsibilities and stuff here.
It's all the same with the board. This is the first I've known of it really. I'd like to wait 2 weeks again. We can make a motion or make some action then that way. I can just kind of think about it, see if there's any reason why this wouldn't be something that we would want to do.
I think that's fair.
So you mentioned 2 different project areas that this person would work. What additionally to this, because those 2 items wouldn't be a full-time position. What else would they be doing for the year?
Well, I would love for them to work with Alasi on a lot of their projects, specifically Cafe and El Parque, which is a parent gathering, and I can let Rosina explain a lot more about this, but it's a parent gathering, community gathering, where we try to do a little education. So this person would be represented at that meeting and allow for some education at each of these meetings through Purdue. My resources would be able to then come back down into the community. We asked our program assistants to do a lot throughout the schools in the individual classrooms. Sometimes my time is better spent on those larger, bigger picture community efforts and, not in the second grade classroom for 1 hour. So we would really be pushing this program assistant to also be within the school system, just like we're pushing our current program assistant to be in school systems, providing that resource for all of the classroom teachers, and then the libraries as well. We ask our program assistants to do a lot of programming with the libraries and help support not only the library programs, but to provide frequent education for the public at all of the library locations. So sometimes the library will call us, I need a program on vegetables, and we'll go and do a program on vegetables, and sometimes we call them and we say, hey, I've got a really great program on sunscreen. Can I come and do it? So it's a give and take and it concerns to the library.
When you have a program like sunscreen or any of these other ones, what kind of participation do you have?
It depends where it's at, obviously. That makes a huge difference. We get great participation at the Huntingburg, or not Huntingburg, Jasper Library. I'm like pointing over there, yeah, that one over there. The Jasper Library and the Fergus Library. The Huntingburg Library, we've not gotten the best participation there. However, if we partner with Elasi gets great participation there at their events. So I think it's gonna be just a very pointed redirect as to how we advertise for these programs.
You said that the Spanish-speaking community or Hispanic population, it continues to grow and that they have needs that are, what are some of the different needs that that population would have that the other population wouldn't have?
I don't think it's a matter of we don't have the same needs. It's a matter of I can't provide them with information that is relevant to them in their preferred learning language.
Yeah.
Right? So they might be able to speak English, but they might not be able to actually learn in English. Marina, who used to work here, we've talked a lot about that because she's like, when I hear English, I have to convert it in my brain to Spanish. And then my brain analyzes it in Spanish, and I convert it back to English before I'm able to speak it back out to you. So when you're really learning something that's very complex and brand new to you, hearing it in Spanish allows for that conversion not to happen, and it allows comprehension to be a little bit better. So while we might be able to speak together, they might not be able to learn as effectively. So that's really, the language gap is a big issue, but also I would hope for this person to start helping us with resources as well. We don't have things translated. The access to resources are not necessarily there yet, and it is an ongoing project at Purdue University, but it needs to go a little bit faster here on the county level, in my opinion.
Okay. Would either of your guests like to say anything?
Do you want to add anything?
You're welcome to step up, and if you have any comments, you're welcome to do it.
I just would like to add that I think it's a very common strategy that we're seeing from other nonprofits and for-profit entities in the county. Just if you do a Indeed scrape of jobs that are posted right now, all of our major manufacturers are trying to hire dedicated bilingual physicians. We also know the schools and the hospitals and other healthcare organizations are doing the same. So I think it's very consistent with what we're seeing from across the county.
I am very excited about this opportunity because this opportunity presents and it's a way we can change the system. We can improve, we can advance. It's a way we can offer services for all of the county residents. So when we talk about the demographics and the need for this, there's one very important thing. We see in all of our formal surveys or census, we see Hispanic population in Dubois County ranges from 8% to 10%, but then you go out, you go to the real life here in Dubois County. You enter the schools and probably high school is 35% Hispanic, middle school is 40% Hispanic, elementary school is 48% Hispanic, and then you move to the dual language classrooms and it's 50-50. So in planning for the future, in making decisions for the future of our county, we have to look at the long term. How is it gonna look Dubois County in 10, 12 more years? We are a growing multicultural community. So positions like this, the importance of jobs that encompass global skills are a priority for us. And then community positions that can serve all of the residents. We have Elasi. Elasi It's not even the half of the year, and we've seen over 800 families, and we have only one Latino community coordinator. 800 families, less than a year, Monday to Friday. With more help, like this position that Chelsea's talking about, we can achieve more. We can achieve more. So community positions embedded in local skills, it's a great asset for our county.
Thank you.
And I do have a letter of support from Alasi that I did want to leave with you as well.
Thank you. Okay, so we will, we'll make a determination at our next meeting on June 16th. What time?
It would have to be 11.
Okay, 11 o'clock, so you're welcome to come back at that time, or,
Sounds wonderful. Thank you.
thank you, appreciate your time. All right, 2026 funding for Ride Solutions. I think I saw Becky Guthrie here. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
First off, thank you for supporting Ride Solution. Been here for a long time. I've been here a lot longer. Anyway, we started, this is our 25th year doing public transportation, and we expanded to Du Bois County in 2008, and it just keeps growing and growing. The needs change in some aspects, but it stays the same in others. We do a lot of employment. We do a lot of school transportation, do a lot of medical. We bring a lot of people into Du Bois County, and I think that's really important for you guys to realize. I mean, they come from all the surrounding counties. We bring people here daily for different activities, especially medical. They just don't have, you have a good medical system in the county, and a lot of people need to access that. The schools, transportation, you know, Head Start doesn't provide transportation any longer. They used to have little buses and stuff, but they got out of that business. So we've done that. We just do a variety of things. A lot of, you know, and another thing that a lot of people don't realize is when someone's looking for to bring housing projects into the county, they have a checklist of everything they want before they bring that housing community in. And public transportation is one of the first things they ask for. Do you have public transportation in the county, in the city, wherever they're going to locate? I filled out a lot of grant requests for different projects that people are coming in and they see us, they ask if we'll be able to support that community, which is something that we always reply to. So we want to keep this going. We have a lot of employees here in Du Bois County. They work every day. We have really good drivers. They go through a lot of training. They'll have to get a physical every year. Something they can't just get one-time physical and stay on forever. It doesn't work that way. We know we have changing health, and as some of our drivers get older, we want to make sure that they're fit for duty and stuff like that. So that all goes into the expense of running this transportation system. Besides, we have 5 dispatchers on duty all day long. And we plan a lot ahead, but then we have call-ins every single day. If we have cancellations, we fill in the best of our ability. So we appreciate your support, and we hope that it continues.
The request for this year is $15,000 as it's been in years past. I'll make a motion that we approve keeping the $15,000 in the budget for 2026.
I'll second.
Pending approval by the council.
Pending council approval.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, we got a first and second. Any other discussion?
No, any questions?
All in favor of the motion, say aye.
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 Thank you very
Motion carries.
much.
Thank you. Have a great day. Okay, so I have down for a regional sewer district update. Because we're behind schedule, we will put that to later in the meeting. Unless somebody's here to hear about the regional sewer district, doesn't look like it. Industrial Park Road speed limit, we can talk about that. That would put us right back on time, so let's talk about that. We've got, we had a request from, or a discussion started with the town of Ferdinand. Mr. Seacard has asked us to consider reviewing the Industrial Park Road speed limit. Part of that road is owned and maintained by DuBois County. Part of it is maintained and owned by the town, just due to the geography of that. The question or the concern, I think, is that part of the road is 35 miles per hour, part of the road is 45 miles per hour, and the request or the item to be keeping into consideration because of the increased development. There's more driveways, there are more apartment buildings, more businesses. The request from the town was that the county consider making our portion 35 miles per hour to match with what the town has. I've reviewed the road. The request seems reasonable to me. There would be a process to change the speed limit. We don't just change the speed limit and put up new signs and just go. It doesn't operate that way. Usually there is an ordinance. The change has to be published and we have to pass it here in a public meeting. So I just wanted to bring that up for initial consideration from the board. So Commissioner Stefano, do you have any thoughts on it, or have you had a chance to review that?
So it's 45 and then 35 and then back up to 45 again, right?
Right, so if you go in the very north part, 45, then the middle where the industry is 35, and then
Back down to 40.
when you head back onto the other road, it's 45 again. I think with this speed limit, like every speed limit, it's really up to enforcement, because people will go 65 unless there's enforcement on it. So I think we have the speed limit at 35. It makes it, or we consider doing it at least. I think it would be a good idea to have the new engineer, whenever he comes on next Monday, to look at the situation and give us a recommendation. But initially, it seems like a good idea to me.
Will we have to put a road count on there?
So,
No. Okay.
I mean, I think we can, one of our duties here is being in charge of the county-owned highways. We can set those numbers.
I don't know that it's a requirement. Again, it's something that we had done before, just to kind of basically do your diligence and study it to see whether or not it'd be appropriate or not. I think the last one we did was in 2019, also in the Ferdinand area. Before that was 2017.
So it happens occasionally.
Yes.
Anything from the highway department? Thoughts?
Like I said, as far as the bypass, usually the bypass, we're getting the trucks to go around and any traffic that don't need to go through town. But now if we lower it to 35, it's 30 going through town, that's a straight shot. Less mileage. People are probably gonna just, I may as well just go through town instead of taking a bypass, so is that what they want, They want more excess truck traffic going through town.
But would many of the trucks have a need to do the bypass because that's where the industry is, or you're saying just the passenger traffic would have to make a decision?
Right. As far as like rock trucks and, yes, the Aristocrat, Bass Chairs, they'll probably take the bypass because they have to, but as far as other trucks, they probably won't. And maybe they don't now, I don't know.
Okay, no, I mean, that's a good consideration too, that we don't want to make the speed limit low and discourage people from using it. You don't want semis going past, downtown, if you can avoid it. Commissioner Hoster, do you have any thoughts?
Not really. I think it's a reasonable ask, but I would like to have our engineer review it, maybe make a recommendation. And just kind of learn the situation a little better. I might have to go over there and just drive the road and see for myself.
Mr. Stefano, any thoughts?
I'd like to wait and see what Levi says, his recommendations.
It's a nice road, wide shoulders.
Like I said, there's a stop sign on the north and, no, the east and west side, right? That's it.
One of the
It's not a
crossroads.
four-way stop.
And another thing, whenever they're coming from the interstate, why take the bypass? Because they come over on the north side, there's no stoplight to get out. I mean, it's hard to
Agreed,
get out to
agreed.
go to the,
If you're gonna take a left, it's gonna be tough to get out eventually.
I mean, most of the time it's okay, but, just depends when it is.
Time of day. It's a hard left turn, depending on the time of day.
Yes, exactly.
It is.
So I think we're all in agreement that it's worth further consideration. It's not a hard no or a hard yes. We'll let the engineer look at it beginning a week from today, maybe, and have it brought back up at the, you think in his first week on the job would be too much to ask, or should we wait?
He's gonna have a lot to do that first week.
All right, how about this? You or he will report to us at the next meeting about that.
Okay.
Thank you. Election boundaries, Mr. Schneider, is that something you're going to have for us, that ordinance?
Yeah, I think it's, as the president, brought to my attention, I think that statutory change requiring, basically to recertify, I think is the route that I worked with Ms. Kippenbrock, Clerk Kippenbrock on this, should determine or confirm that the population change since the 2020 census was not significant enough to warrant a change in the council district lines. The ordinance presented to you essentially recertifying those. I believe that's in response to a legislative change requiring that to occur before July 1. So.
Clerk Kippenbrock, I mean, to dumb it down, there are districts, and each of those districts, we want to have the similar number of people, and then within a percentage, the numbers haven't changed significantly, that would change that from what we do currently till now. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And so my suggestion would be to maintain the districts as they stand. They are basically by townships, right? There's nothing that is a portion of another township. I mean, it's
Correct.
clean, it's easy to follow. So I would make a motion that we approve keeping the election boundaries as they are, reaffirming them, and approving ordinance number 2025-04.
I'll second.
Is there any other discussion on that issue?
Sure.
Okay, all in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. All right, next item on the agenda is a DuBois stormwater issue. There was a resident in DuBois.
Can we have people sign in that have come? I'm not signed in.
I'll pass it around.
Yeah, if you come to the meeting, if you don't mind signing, we'd appreciate it. The stormwater issue, just to kind of get you in the right geography, if you're at the Circle A, or I don't know if it's called Sunny's now, that gas station.
On the fly.
On the fly, is that what it is? Okay, so if you're on the fly and you walked in the front door and you walked straight through the building out the back, there is a ditch. On private property, there's a ditch that starts back behind that building and it runs through, is it Sycamore Street right behind that? Possibly, I think it's Sycamore Street. And anyway, it's the public or a private ditch and the water runs through there. Over the last several years, I guess that ditch has been eroding. It's a pretty significant ditch. It's not just a normal 6-inch swell or anything like that. It's, I guess it was large and it's getting larger, and there's been a person that owns the property to the south of it that was complaining. They complained to IDEM. IDEM said they don't have jurisdiction or anything over that. There's nothing they really can do over it. And so they recommended that the person contact DuBois County. So I've looked at it. The county surveyor has looked at it. County attorney has looked at it. And really, again, it's on somebody's private property. It's their own private ditch. It's not really our issue unless, and Mr. Schneider, I don't know how to word this properly, but if they brought it to the ditch board, drainage board, we could address, we could talk about it then.
There are processes, and I think we kind of visited this maybe a couple of years ago, that, creating a public drain or putting it into the inventory, there's a process for that. Again, that if they wanted to do so, it doesn't automatically make it happen just by asking. It's just something whether or not, we do have legal drains within the county. We've taken 1 or 2 legal drains out of our inventory over the past 5 years. If this was one that was petitioned to be brought in, I believe there are some statutory rules that could be followed. Again, I think, we had a hearing as the drainage board last year. Can't remember. But that was not a public drain, it was just a mutual drain between landowners. And that wasn't petitioned, it was just seeking guidance from the drainage board. That is a process that if they wanted to look into and entertain, they could file a petition to do so.
So in the past, what we would do is the county engineer would go look at it too, and we would tell the resident our suggestion, I guess, or what we could or could not do for them. So in this case, I was just bringing it up to the board, because one thing that concerned me was the person on their contact with IDEM was they said that they had contacted, they didn't say who, they'd contacted somebody within Du Bois County and we were not responsive. So he didn't say that it was a commissioner or the highway department, or he didn't say who it was, but when people ask Du Bois County for something, we want to be responsive. So what my plan was to reach out to this person, just have a conversation, tell them what their options were. I guess it's no different than any water issue that's on my property. I can't really stop the water from flowing where it's going to naturally flow, but it's not the government's responsibility to come in and put a new pipe in for me either. But unless one of you has a different issue, I was just wanting to bring it to your attention because it was a complaint that was had.
The only question I would have is if someone upstream changed the flow of water, does that change what happens downstream? Because I know that ditch used to run kind of catty-cornered from the old baseball diamond at Du Bois. It came down the road there and then catty-cornered between the gym and the school there. And that's all been closed in. So I don't know if that makes the water flow faster and therefore erodes it out more. I don't know if that makes any, the school or whoever closed that ditch responsible for any of that. I don't really know what the legal is on that, but I know that did change, and that may be part of the call for this.
I know there's been what they've called improvements, and I assume that they were on that. I don't want to besmirch anyone, but you remember whenever all that water flooded in and it ruined part of the school there. I mean, since that time, there's been a lot of work done. I know our previous engineer was involved in that, but we don't have him here to talk about it. Donnie, do you know anything about that?
No.
So
I know they did a lot. Gene Eisen was up there and did a lot of work to convert the water around the building.
So if that's the case where one owner negatively impacts somebody else, yes, they could, examine that and do something. But that's another thing I'll bring up. If this person has proof that someone else diverted water and it's negatively affecting them, then that's something that they can pursue. But as far as the county, we generally are in the business of fixing private ditches. But wanted to bring that to your attention that I will be contacting that person. I want them to feel like they're being heard and being taken care of. I will go to the regional sewer district portion here, and then at 9:45 we've got someone on the agenda for Property Rights Alliance, so we'll go to that. For the regional sewer district, I just want to give you an update from my perspective where we are on things. So we've been in continuous contact with the city of Jasper because we're working in conjunction with them. We've also been in continuous contact with Clark Dietz, our consultant on the project. Recently, Baker Tilly also provided us with a financial analysis emailed out on 5/25 for the board to review. So it kind of gives you an idea of how expensive the project is and what it would look like for end users and how we would make regional sewer or just sewer to the individual available and possible and what that would cost. That analysis I can't say that it's more than we want to spend or not. I guess that's a personal choice, but it's going to be considerably expensive. And the thing that was somewhat disappointing is that in 2022, we were given construction costs and estimates from our consultant, and those are less than half of what they're telling us they would be today for the same project. So either they were wrong then, or they're wrong now. I'm not sure. I would assume that they were wrong then. I think that the engineer that we're working with up there, he's a guy that he seems like he's knowledgeable. He has experience. I think he's being forthcoming now, but I think the estimates that we were given in 2022 were pretty low. So you can imagine if we double the cost of the infrastructure, the cost of the bill is going to go up considerably. It's the tough thing is, it's a very important project to try to get sewer to people because the E. coli levels are elevated, the health issues, the lot sizes are small. It doesn't meet modern standards. So it's very important, but we have to weigh that against the expense of doing the project. So it's something that, I guess what I wanted to tell you is today, it feels like we've hit several walls with this, but we haven't given up yet. It's not a project that I'm ready to throw in the trash just today, because it is so important, but at the expense of it is, we have to weigh that. Because if we spend $19 million or whatever, 18 million, 16 million, whatever it ends up being, doing that project, that means that money doesn't go to some other project within the county. So we have to weigh the value of serving 200 units there versus what good could we do in other parts of the county. So it's just something we're taking seriously and really looking into. Also, the state revolving fund, the grants that they give out every year for this kind of project, due to changes at the federal level, at the state level, those amount of funds that are going to be available are down. So there's going to be fewer grants that go out. And one thing that I think we were led to, that we understood early in the project, was that there were just a lot of grant money out there that's available to make these projects affordable. And it seems like that's not the case today. That the largest, for example, the largest grant that the state revolving fund gave out, I think over the last couple of years, is $5 million. They've given out a couple of those, and I don't see us getting those. The way we're ranking, it just seems like best case scenario is we're going to be getting bonded. We'll get some lower rate bonds. So again, we've hit several walls. We have to decide if, one, is the county going to invest millions of dollars up front and then also invest hundreds of thousands of dollars every year for the next 30 years to make this a reality and to keep the bills down? We have to determine if that's a good deal for us. So I'm going to continue to talk with Jasper. There's also, I want to thank Councilperson Lewis and Kleesner for working with me on this, and we're just trying to look at it, trying to figure out where we can go next. Should know more by the end of, hopefully the end of this month, when the SRF, State Revolving Fund, when they make their determinations of who gets funded, who's available for lower cost bonds. Yeah, right. Who's going to win and who's going to lose this year?
Sure.
Yeah, either of you have any comments?
No, I mean, I hate to hear that, just knowing how important that project is to the people out there, because, I mean, it's not a choice really. It's kind of a necessary project, but you would think with such a necessary project, there would be state or federal money there to help us out. So hopefully we'll find a way to get it done.
And it's great, the team that we've got working on it, we've bothered the congressman's people, we've bothered the state, local people, I mean, at USDA, we've tried to turn over all the rocks, and it's the problem. One of the problems is they want your community to be at a certain amount of median income. They want you to be in a poor area, and we just don't qualify for that. Hayesville, when you drive through Hayesville, you're thinking, this looks like just regular folks' homes and regular income, and but if you get a couple people that have high income in your area, that will blow the median income. And so there's very few places in DuBois County where we don't where we would qualify for the amount of income that would get us a high ranking in this kind of thing, which I think is unfortunate because the public, the government generally puts these kind of projects in. It doesn't matter if the people that live in that area are multimillionaires or not, they don't put in their own sewer, right? That doesn't change the need. So it just doesn't make sense, but that's how it is. So I just wanted to give that update. It looks like it's about 9:45. Unless, did you have somebody have their hand up on the regional sewer district? I'd be happy to take a public comment for 1 minute.
Okay, I was appointed, I'm not looking for another job. I was appointed to the regional. Well, what happened? We went to 2 meetings and.
Well, just what he said, the funding, we've got everything in order, but it's just, without being able to move forward, it's tough.
I was just curious.
No, you're still on it.
You're not fired.
No, we've got the board staff. It's just-
Right. So if people didn't understand what was going on, whenever you form a regional sewer district, you have to have local people that are on that district board to help guide it forward.
I was appointed by the Southwest School District.
Yes. So we found the best and the brightest.
No.
And Mr. Ray. No, we've had a few meetings with those folks, and so the thing is, we just keep trying, how are we gonna make this happen? Because if the bill for the end user is $250, nobody's gonna use, right, we'll get hung. It's not possible. If you live in Jasper and your bill's $68 on average, we can't have the bill up there being $250, right, or $200. And also, do we want to spend, this is a very important project, but we have to weigh it against other very important projects, so.
I say both the other on that.
So, thank you for your comment. I appreciate your service on that board as well, and we will hit you back up.
That's the only question I had.
All right. So we have down for 9:45, Mark Nortowski for the Property Rights Alliance. Would you like to come up?
Well, actually, my name is on the list, but I'm not actually presenting it. We have just a small contingency here from the Property Rights Alliance, but I'm gonna turn it over to Jason McCoy to share with you what we want to talk about today.
We're kidding about 9:45.
Mr. McCoy, welcome, and
That's my excellent agenda skill.
They work like that every week too.
yes, the floor is yours.
Hey, were you sure you wouldn't rather come up and just hitting on all cylinders this morning? Commissioners, good morning. Thank you for being here today. So my name is Jason McCoy. I'm here on behalf of myself as a taxpayer, and but also representing the Property Rights Alliance in conjunction with Stop the Mid-States Corridor Alliance coalition. We have drafted a resolution that we would like for you guys to consider related to the Mid-States Corridor project. It's okay, I'll read it as short.
Sure, go right ahead.
1 page. It reads like this: the resolution of the Board of Commissioners of DuBois County, Indiana. Whereas since the 1980s, 5 different studies prior to the current Lockmuir study have determined that building a new terrain highway and or bypass through DuBois County are not economically or environmentally feasible. The studies are the Donahue study, the Rust study, the EarthTech study, the Cambridge study, and the I-67 study. These were all determined not to be economically or environmentally feasible. Whereas in June of 2021, Governor Holcomb announced $475 million in infrastructure projects that included $75 million to make major improvements to existing US 231 through DuBois and Martin counties. Whereas in April 2022, after the release of the Tier 1 DEIS NDOT, and the Lockmuir Group held a public comment meeting with hundreds of residents in attendance who were opposed. Over 95% of the verbal comments opposed, and received more than 1,000 written comments opposed to the Mid-States Corridor project. Some of these reasons provided included the displacement of over 100 homeowners, over 1,800 acres of farmland taken, 870 acres of forest cut down,
over 60 acres of wetlands, the negative impacts on the environment and the natural habitat, significant losses to the tax base, a loss of agricultural income in excess of millions of dollars, and the lack of true proven benefits at a cost well over $1 billion. That's in 2020 cost. Whereas due to the process of establishing an appointed regional development authority, the RDA, and not giving the residents, environmental, and other groups a voice on the initial start of this project or allowed to vote, over 10,000 signatures were gathered and submitted petitioning their opposition to the Mid-States Corridor project. Whereas opposition to this proposed project continues to grow publicly, as noted by the Facebook group Stop the Mid-States Corridor Project, with over 5,400 followers, a reach of almost 50,000, and an engagement of over 28,000, residents have displayed over 500 Stop the Mid-States Corridor yard signs. Hundreds have attended several town hall and other meetings in opposition, numerous letters to the editor, and media interviews, both locally and regionally. Whereas proponents of the Mid-States Corridor continue to falsely promote the economic development opportunities and growth without any factual data to back up their projections or assumptions. Whereas, in our opinion, the existing road network, along with improvements on the existing 231, will adequately connect the region and avoid massive destruction of our rural landscape and communities, that the state funds can be better spent maintaining and repairing existing roads, and the taxpayers, county, and societal costs of the proposed far outweigh any potential local benefits. These reasons and others, in our judgment, indicate a lack of need for this project. Now, therefore, be it resolved, this is you guys speaking, now therefore be it resolved that the Board of County Commissioners of DuBois County, Indiana hereby opposes and will no longer support the continuation of the Mid-States Corridor New Terrain Highway project, and that any other alternative other than the previously identified improvements for the existing 231. Furthermore, the Board of Commissioners will not grant powers of eminent domain or otherwise land acquisition to the unconstitutional Mid-States Corridor Regional Development Authority, nor will we authorize any additional tax dollars to this project. If you guys could all just sign that and hand it back. So we know that this isn't the forum for you guys to discuss and sign this, we get that. But we also know that members of the RDA are, we also believe, I believe personally, that members of the RDA are pressuring local politicians. I know Bill Kaiser came in and had it out with the mayor. We need more money, we need more money. We know that NDOT is offering Jasper and DuBois County and Huntingburg money to take over upkeep of 231, and that there are incentives to hurry up, hurry up, hurry up. I think that it doesn't seem to make much sense for us to be talking about how we come up with money for the sewer project that you guys are talking about when we know that our own storm sewer, there's so many. Jeff Tyson came in and talked to the council recently about there's huge culverts going on here. How are we going to afford to pay for the upkeep of 231? That's one of about 100 different issues. Bottom line on this Mid-States Corridor issue, guys, from my perspective, is the cat over the last year has slowly been being released from the bag. Cat's almost out of the bag on this. And everybody's been passing the buck. When I talk to Mark Messmer, who I consider a friend, I have the utmost respect for him. I think he's done wonderful things for our state, our community, and I hope he continues to do that. A couple of years ago, when I addressed the issue with Mark, he said, I don't have anything to do with it. I just have control over the checkbook. Well, that's not entirely true. He penned Senate Bill 128, which allowed for the creation of the Regional Development Authority, right? And each person involved in our community has a little bit of power. You guys have a degree of power. This person has a degree of power. This person has a degree of power. So the proponents that have been pushing for this, in my opinion, boondoggle, have been passing the buck, and nobody really wants to take responsibility for it. And so you guys are here starting from this gentleman right here and going all the way around to this lady right here. You guys are all being paid by us to act in accordance with our best interest, the majority. We're your constituents back here. We're just a very small handful of your constituents. But I believe that the vast majority of your constituents are not in favor of this project. And you're all getting paid to be here. I'm losing money. We're all losing money because we have to be here. And I know you guys aren't getting paid much to be here. But you asked to be here, right? You all asked for the position. You asked us to vote you in. You asked to be hired to represent us, and we've hired you to represent us. And our expectation is that you represent the whole of us, and that the decisions that you consider and that the decisions that you make are in accordance with what truly is in the best interest of the majority of your constituents. Mark Messmer said in the Lincoln Land dinner last year, he said, we don't live in a democracy. A lot of people believe that we do. We don't. He said, we live in a representative republic. There's no such things as ballot initiatives anymore, right? Now, maybe we need to go back to that. Maybe there needs to be a referendum. That was the purpose of Senate Bill 128. They've been trying to get this road built for 45 years, and the people have said, no, we don't want that. We want our money spent on other things. And so the purpose of Senate Bill 128, penned by Mark Messmer and by Mike Braun, was to, dang it, how do we get this out of the hands of the people? How do we make it so that we don't have to ask them? You know what, we'll write a law, that's what we'll do. Senate Bill 128, so please read it. It takes the power of this issue out of our hands and puts it in the hands of private citizens who want this road that don't answer to us at all. We don't like that. We don't like that at all, right? And now many of us have been sued across the street. We had to come in and we had to go before the judge for asserting our rights. And you know, the funny thing, it's not funny, is that we're being sued with our own money. The study, the $15 million that went to pay for the Tier 2 study, Lockmuller Group, is our money. Right? We don't believe that the reporting that's been done and the studies that are being done on the part of the Lockmuller Group are the truth and are factual and are honest and consider all things. What we think is we think a few folks want this road and they've been able to garner some support in some ways due to threats or due to coercion. 100% absolutely inclusion and collusion, not inclusion, but collusion. We know that. That's not something that it's incumbent upon me or any of the rest of us to expose the corruption involved in the road. I got bricks to lay. I've got grass to mow on my farm and hay to cut. I don't want to be here. I don't have time for this. I didn't ask to be here. But the building of this road is not germane to the best interest of your constituents, and you guys have a role to play in that. And so, by seriously considering this resolution, if you guys looked at what it says in this resolution and you forgot about who Hank Minke is and who Mike Braun is, you forgot about who Doug Bobble is, what those people want personally and individually for themselves and for their businesses wasn't in your mind, this would be a no-brainer. You'd sign it right now. I've heard many people say, well, you know, we're just not really sure if it's going to have a good impact on the community or not. We're waiting to see. No, that's not true. People want to be on the winning side. Nobody wants to be on the losing side. What happens when your team goes to state? Man, everybody shows up. What happens when they're losing? I don't know, I'm busy. I got other stuff to do. It's a lot of work to expose corruption. That's a role that I'm taking on very seriously this year and next year. I haven't wanted to use that term and attach that accusation to people that I like and care about and respect. But I believe that there's been corruption in this process. And if we can't get it stopped by normal, rational, reasonable means, well then, my job then is to lean in and lean in harder, Whereas before, I'm almost done. Whereas before, there were thousands of people opposed to this, and some were only willing to make a comment on Facebook or show up and raise their hand at a meeting. Now there's tens of thousands of people opposed to this. We are becoming, the opposition to this is becoming legion. And people now with court cases and threats of jail time, now people want to start converging on this issue like a swarm and a plague of locusts, and they're going to. So I want to invite all reasonable people who are charged with representing us as a whole to start thinking about doing the right thing. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. McCoy. Anybody have any comments or questions for Mr. McCoy while he's here?
I don't, thank you.
No,
Or are you scared?
No.
He's
He's at them.
no, we'll ask for the public comment here in a moment. So that'll be coming.
Thank you, commissioners, thank you.
You're welcome. I appreciate you being here. And you talked about responsibility and power. And so just for the record, whatever the responsibility is that we have, I believe we take it seriously. And I think that when you ask about this project in particular, the Mid-States Corridor project, what has DuBois County done for it or to it or in that area? I would say that DuBois County has supported the study of the initial study. We put money in behind that back in, it's been many years, 6 years ago. 2018, so yeah, 6-7 years ago, whatever it was. And so we put money into that. I think that the council and the commissioners both, we didn't have to formally vote on it as a board of commissioners, but I think we supported that study because same as you've said, this has been brought up. This has been an important project to some people for a long time. And I think where I stand is I want to make the best decisions today for the future because I have a son that I want to maybe live here in DuBois County in the future. And I thought, well, people that I think are good-natured, good-willed, have brought this forward as something that needed to be studied. And I found their argument convincing enough for us to support that. I was one that supported that initial study. Since that time, we as a county haven't supported it financially, haven't supported it in any other way, at least not as a unit that I can think of. So we did, so what our input was so far was that. I think that's the extent of that. Currently and going forward, I think what our responsibility would be to maintain existing roadways that we have. And if this road does go through, we would be responsible for making sure that it is the least impactful as possible. Meaning, some of the points that are brought up about emergency services being cut off and how this could negatively impact people. Those are things that are really important to me. And so those are the issues that, I would continue to work for. Do I get to ultimately make the decision if this road is built or not? I don't feel like we do, but I think we have some input on access roads if it does happen and making sure that impact is minimal. So our job is to make sure that we take care of the economic part of the county a little bit, the general welfare and safety of the people. That's how I look at our role. But really, that's been the extent of our input so far. I think that we could, if the three of us if we agreed, we could sign something like this, or we could sign something like this to the opposite, saying we as a board of commissioners fully are behind this, right? We could do that, and it doesn't have any real standing other than it lets you know where we stand. Or you could just ask us individually, and I'm sure we'll tell you where we stand. But that's about the extent of where we've been with this. And to your point too, yes, I've been personally involved with meetings with NDOT, with the city, with Lockmuller Group, because I have to be prepared if this road goes through to make it the best project that it can be. And if it doesn't go through, then, there's things for that too. But to your point too, about the number of people that are involved, I've studied this since day one a little bit, I've been trying to keep up so that I can make good decisions. And due to people like you, having talks with you and Mr. Nortoski and people that are in favor of it, I'm becoming more educated on it by the week. So I do appreciate the people that are here and all that feedback that we're getting. I think it's great when people stand up and have their voice heard. Commissioner Hostetter, did you have anything to say?
I really don't. I mean, to be honest, I supported this road when it started. I supported the study. I think it's an investment in the future of Du Bois County. I feel terrible for people that are going to lose property, but I think we have to support our industry. They provide most of the jobs in our area, and if our studies come back and show that this road is going to support us for the next 100 years or beyond, I can't oppose that. I think it's for the betterment of the entire community, and I feel really bad for the people sitting in this room that are possibly going to lose property.
Commissioner Stefano?
I agree. It's the industry that I'm concerned about. There's a lot of study that needs to go behind this yet. I have farmland. I understand how you feel. But it's the industry, it's the growth that I'm concerned about. I'm not persuaded one way or another. I'm not gonna sit here and say I'm against it or for it. But there's a lot of study that needs to go into this yet. I have talked to several people and I will continue to talk to several people about this. That's kind of where I stand right now.
Thank you for those comments. Mr. Hostetter, I'd like to respond to what you said about industry, that you spoke of the industry leaders and that they want Du Bois County to thrive. I think all of us agree with that. We all want Du Bois County to thrive, right? One of the linchpins, in my opinion, that's happened is that the study has in itself been corrupted. One of the things Tom Bartle said here just before he was being sued by the Lockmuller Group and NDOT for this road was they didn't commission an actual realistic study to see if we needed it or the impact that it would have on people. They found somebody that they could hire and they told them what they wanted, right? They said, this is what we want. We want the road. That was corroborated by Don Hayes across the street here last year when he said to us during a meeting that Eric Holcomb came to him 10 years ago and said, we're going to get this road through in your lifetime, Don. You're going to see this road in your lifetime. Before the Lockmuller study was even commissioned, that was after 5 other studies showed, yeah, no. So 5 studies said this isn't in the best interest of the community, economically, financially, developmentally, right? Environmentally, it's not in the best interest of the community. And we believe that they, who they are, found a company who was willing to do a study that would support the construction of this road. So for you to indicate that you're going to pay attention to what the study says and that you're going to lean towards what the study says, I'm paraphrasing that. There's 5 other studies. There's 5 other studies that have been done. Look at those studies too. Please consider my assertion and other people's, Tom Bartle's assertion, that the Lockmuller Group study is a farce. If you go to the Lockmuller Group's webpage and you look at what their mission statement is, it doesn't say anything on there about doing what's in the best interest of the community. It says, our purview is to get results for our clients. It's not an independent, objective, unbiased study. These people have been bought and paid for. The Lockmuller Group has never conducted a study where the end result was, you know what, maybe this isn't such a good idea. And so if you're going to lean into the study and do what's in accordance with what the study says is best for the community, please consider that you are, or from your perspective, very likely looking at a study that has been skewed towards the side that wants this road. One more thing too is
I was going to say, I
Just one
Your
more.
time has expired. I want to let other people speak if they have time. So we have about 3 minutes for each person that wants to speak. So please finish.
All right. One more thing too, is that all the economic development, all the economic benefit that was promised to the people from Dale down to Owensboro. Oh, this mid-states corridor from Dale to Owensboro, it's gonna be great. It's gonna give you this and that, and this and that. None of it happened. Every single one of those communities, a ghost town. Dead. There's 11 communities that go from Owensboro down to Bowling Green. Dead, 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 dead. None of the economic development that was promised to those people occurred. Same thing in Washington with their bypass. So please take those, if you're serious about doing what's in the best interest of the community and industry, please consider helping to build this road or supporting this road doesn't get that done. Thank you for the extra time.
Yes, sir. And we'll just start on the right-hand side of the room and we'll go that way. So everybody that wants to speak has an opportunity to just come up and speak, please, if you have something you want to say.
I would just ask the question about the county's participation in this RDA, Regional Development Authority, and who the representative is on their committee. Does anyone in the council attend or know what those meetings are? We've seen their meetings and they basically talk about money they have and what's been appropriated, and in 20 minutes they adjourn. They take no public comments.
So to answer your question, the RDA, the representative for our board or our county is Mark. Schrader. Mark Schrader. I apologize, Mark, if you're watching, but no, he, when this board was started or was considering being formed, or when it was formed, the commissioners at that time, it was Commissioner Hofstadter, myself, and Commissioner Bromas. Commissioner Bromas contacted Mr. Schrader, who was in the process of retiring. He agreed to participate on that board. So he was he's our representative.
So they're all appointed to that RDA. Do you get feedback as far as their budgeting? We've requested once where they're getting their money, because they can accept private donations, but they're not reporting where those donations are coming from.
So that was a big issue at the beginning when they were raising funds from all the private folks, but over the last 4 years, I think it's been almost none. I mean, yes, we do get a report. We had one at the last meeting, and it just says we started with this much money and we spent it and we're down to this much money. So as of right now, I think the RDA has, if they're telling you, which I think it sounds like Mr. McCoy is saying that they're telling you that we don't have much to do with this project now. Well, it is an NDOT project if you want to look at it now. So the RDA was supporting the study. Now the RDA, their role is diminished, I would say.
Well, and to that diminished, it's an interesting sidebar, if you will, but the state of California developed many RDAs, but over a period of 9 to 11 years, the corruption became so rampant that they had to dissolve all of their RDAs in the entire state of California.
And what's your name? Do you mind sharing your name?
Yeah, Roger Pond.
Roger, thank you, sir. Ma'am, do you have anything? No? Anybody in the back row? I'm sorry I'm pointing at folks, but yeah, I'll just keep going this way. Do you folks have any comments you'd like to make? No? We'll go, Mr. Ring.
Sure do.
We're getting to you.
Put the clock on, I'm a retired ag teacher, so.
3 minutes, go.
Anyway, I did a study for Du Bois Strong before you were there. I got together with Kenny Eck, and I find it interesting, you're worried about industry. 6,500 people in our county work in direct production agriculture. We have 3 large implement dealers in our county. We are #1 in dollar sales of ag products because of Wabash Valley, Prairie Farm goes on there.
Mm-hmm.
So we have a lot of industry there that you guys, it's an agriculture county. Our farm was established in 1854. I'm the 6th generation, skip on there. I'm the 6th generation farmer. We're going to be affected by it big time. So I'm obviously against the road, you know this. But to be concerned about industry, why are you not concerned about agriculture? Losing all this agricultural land when you have that many people employed. We're number one in the state in turkey production. We're fourth in the nation as counties goes in turkey production. You know, and we have other things here too, dairy products. We have, believe it or not, there was 72 dairy farms in the county, now there's 5. But those 5 probably produce as much as 72 did in the day when they were doing this. But anyway, the industry that you're concerned about is agriculture in our county. I mean, we have a huge industry of agriculture. I can't quite understand why you can't concern yourself with agriculture. Okay? Any questions? I mean, this is true. Ask Kenny Egg. I mean, there's 6,500 people. That's a lot of people. The hospital probably employs more than that, but other than that, that's a big production. 3 large implement dealerships, like I said, processing plants, Wabash, Farbest. We raise a lot of turkeys too, by the way, so, but that's it. Questions?
No, sir.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Ring.
Tell you my 3 minutes, or I got some time.
You can reserve your time for later. Yes, please. Yeah, go right ahead, and then Mr. Pfister will come up after you. I just like telling him no over and over. You're welcome.
I like Mr. Pfister. So anyway, my name is Teresa Kendall, and I'm sure you all well know that I am not originally from here. I'm originally from central Indiana, and I live very close to the town of Kokomo. And one of the things I've always asked anybody involved in this road is to look at what other cities have done when something like this has come up. I don't know if many of you have gone through Kokomo. US 31 goes through it. And so Kokomo used to be centered around US 31. They had a bypass that they did shortly, I would say probably in the early 60s. And they did another bypass in the 70s. And they've done another bypass in the 90s. And now they're dealing with like the crumbling roads that they have. They're dealing with a lot of issues that involve these roads that just go on and on and on. It's getting to be too expensive for them. State of Indiana doesn't want to do anything to help them maintain the road because what they have done is every time they build a new bypass, the city of Kokomo has to maintain the original road, the road that was originally a bypass. So they are struggling a great deal with what they have to work with. It has also caused a lot of people to leave the center part of their city, and they have moved out farther and farther away. So in addition to that, the lack of care and concern for the center part of the city has made that expand. They've had businesses leave because of the sprawl in the town. They've lost IU Kokomo, which was a very prominent university satellite, and they're just gone. So I know that there are more cities in Indiana that have these problems. But I'm telling you that this is something that needs to be considered. When everybody looks at the potential, what you're looking at is the harm that it's going to cause. And it's not necessarily always a good thing. You can find this in Lafayette, you can find this in Kokomo, you can find it in the town of Anderson, you can find it in the town of Evansville and Terre Haute. All these places have problems when they expand the road. What happens to what the city has to do to contain all that is not good. So that really needs to be looked into. And I'm really upset and saddened that that was not considered in the tier 1 and the tier 2 studies that they're coming up with now. They don't include that because it highlights the problems that an expansion of a road like this causes in a city. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else? Oh, Mr. Pfister, please come up.
Commissioner Blesker. I've kind of lost my train of thought with all this wisdom that's come out. In relation to this, we asked that you think about the big picture, and I know you guys are. No amount of sympathy will do us any good when they bulldozer over Ed Merkley's home. Nothing, no amount of sympathy is going to mean a thing when they come through generations of my farm. No amount of sympathy is going to mean a thing when they go through Dave's wheat field the finest wheat field in this part of the state. So what I'm asking is look at the big picture. We're gonna alter the makeup of our county forever, whether in a good way or whether in a bad way. I've had the luxury of having a job 10 blocks from home my whole life. I understand how important it is for us to have business and industry. And it was great that on a bad day, I went through a stoplight to get to work and so forth. So we all understand, but it's a big picture of agriculture. And I know we're the #1 agricultural county in the state. And I know we're a great manufacturing county, but I also know we are a great county for the quality of life. And if we take away this rural element, and we will be taking away a big element of that rural element when we run this road through the rural areas. And I don't think the average county resident understands how many dead ends there's going to be and how it's going to alter their way of life. It's just not a road. It's a road that will change everything, whether for the good or whether for the bad. We ask that you look at the big picture and you think of the constituents here. Granted, we're all in this game together. We want what's best for the community, but we want you to understand, is it worth the price that we are all gonna lose? So we ask this very respectfully of all of you, all right?
Yes, sir.
And thanks, and I don't know why I had to be last.
I know, there's still 4 people that come. What I would say too is I appreciate your comments there, and the big picture is what I'm looking at. Because what I've told anybody that I talk to, this road will come within a quarter mile of my home. I was enjoying my home outside all weekend, hearing the birds, hearing the peace and the quiet and the beauty of it. I could still hear 231 on weekdays, but on the weekend it's peaceful and it's wonderful, right? And I don't want that to be disturbed. That being said, if I, in my position as a county commissioner for you, I'm going to try to not look at that for myself. I'm going to try to look at what is the best for the whole community. And if that meant that if my determination was that road going right over top of my house was the best for everyone, then I would hope that I would make that decision. So I am looking at it in a big picture sense, I think. I'm trying to not look at what's just good for me. I'm looking for what's good for the whole community. And I'm not saying that means I support the road or I don't support the road. I'm just saying that I agree that that's the way that it should be looked at. And there's been people that are on the Stop the Mid-State Corridor side that have said the same thing. I talked to Mr. Nortowski about this last week, that people are saying if there's good proof that this is the best thing for the community, you can go through my farmland. You can go through my road. If people are convinced, because I think people in Du Bois County and the people in this room have a good heart and they want what's best for the community. And if that meant they had to give a little something, I think they would. I think what we're seeing from the folks here is they haven't been convinced or see that this is in the best interest for everyone. And I think y'all are looking at the big picture, and I think that's what I'm trying to do as well. So I just wanted to say I appreciate that sentiment. I don't want to give up my house. I don't want to give up my peace of mind, but if I thought it was for the best of the 45,000 people here, I would, but I don't know that that's the case. So I just want to make that comment. We're going to keep moving to the left. Any ma'am in the back?
Oh, I have so much to say, you don't have the time.
We can hear your top 3 minutes worth. No? Okay, we'll keep going.
I'll tell you one thing, you could save a lot of money for the building by turning off this air conditioning. It's like.
We don't fight as a board very often, but that's one of the.
Well, I have a choice.
Let me tell you about that. I can turn it 1 degree and you'll all roast. That's how this building is.
Well, and that back row is where the vents are, so.
Yeah, I realize that now. I'm trying to figure
Can we
out
make note
how
of
to close
those 2
them,
seats
how to
up here?
cover them.
I don't know. She wouldn't say.
Mr. Nortowski, did you have something?
I
do.
Come up, or you can sit there either way, whatever you
Oh, I
feel.
just said, no,
I'll just sit there.
I always, part I stress is economic development, as you said. And as people know within this community, I am for smart, sustainable economic development. But I challenge people to, if you haven't, okay, go back through the Tier 1 study, Because again, I'll say, I've gone through all 1,160 something odd pages of it and read it in detail. And even if you don't go through the whole thing, go through the section that talks about economic development and look and see and find how many assumptions there are, projections, just statements that are not backed up by any data or any factual reality. And that's what I keep, I've shared that personally with the commissioner of NDOT face to face. And he's been generous enough to give me a meeting with him up in Indy. I've shared it with the Federal Highway Administration. I've shared it with Lockmuir Group. And no one has come back and said, oh yeah, those things are gonna happen. So please educate yourself before you say this is gonna create all sorts of economic development. Thank you.
Thank you. Keep going. Anything from you folks here on the end?
Yeah, me.
Oh, I'm sorry, I skipped you.
One of the key components of this whole road is to connect to I-69 and Crane. So even if it goes through Du Bois County, it would have to go through Martin County next. Martin County, we were just at a town hall meeting with Lieutenant Governor Micah Beckwith's constituent liaison last week. And the representatives there from Martin County, from the Highway Department, from the schools, from the libraries, Martin County has no money. They have no money to help support this road, to take care of 231 when it runs parallel to it, and now they've got to maintain it. They have no money. Du Bois County is going to be spending an inordinate amount of money to maintain the existing 231, that you could use that money for so many other better things that actually provide services for the county that the residents actually need. On April 16th, when Lockmuir and NDOT did a presentation at the Jasper Middle School, I spoke with Keanu Wheeler there of NDOT, and I asked her about the money that, NDOT contracted with Lockmuir to do the Tier 2 study for the $15 million, which of course is taxpayer money. Then she said that they will come back to the county, to Du Bois County, Spencer County, to Jasper and Huntingburg for money to proceed from there. So the 1.7 million that Du Bois County paid in 2018, the 1.4 million that Jasper paid, the 350,000 that Huntingburg paid was just the very beginning. They are gonna come back for lots more money because that's what they're gonna do. And NDOT said it, they told us that. So it's gonna be a huge, huge economic burden on every resident of Du Bois County, and especially Martin County, that does not have to. It does not have to be. And I wrote a recent letter to the editor explaining that if all these industries, if it was so critical for them to have a 4-lane divided highway, for them to be successful, they would have done it already. They've expanded, they've added more warehouses and distribution centers and manufacturing facilities right here. They had the opportunity to go south of Huntingburg, where the land has been available for sale for that purpose for many years, close to I-64. Did they do it? No. Did they go to just across the county line into I-64 there, Dale, to put up a facility right along the interstate? No. It was not crucial to their success. I don't know why they keep trying to snow you guys, that it's crucial for them to survive by having this divided highway come right to their door. It's not necessary for them, or they would have done it. And so I just wanted to tell you that none of what they're pushing makes any sense. It's not logical, and it is not good for any of the residents of Du Bois County, Martin County. Look what it did to Spencer County. It's devastating.
Thank you. Two more folks over here. Anything?
I'm Vicki Roundtree. I'm representing my parents. They, Leroy and Aileen Kirsteins have a family farm between Vernon and St. Henry. And we have 160 acres along 200 West that the proposed corridor will go diagonally through and ruin. My dad worked his whole life bringing his father's farm and his mother's farm together into and pulling the pieces back together that through the years had been sold and for various reasons. But that property, that 160 acres out there, was his contribution to the family legacy. And it's some of the best crop ground there is. It wasn't when he got it. My brother spent months picking up wood and putting in new tile and bringing this land up. So it's not just land, it's investment. And anyone that knows a farmer knows that the land isn't just a warehouse. It is like their left arm. It's, you can't hand us a check and us go buy 160 acres within a 5-mile radius of that same quality. We can't rebuild this warehouse. And I understand what you're saying, that maybe in your positions here, that you don't have a lot of say in different things, but we're asking that when you're having conversations with people that probably do, when you sit on other boards, when you address this situation, to remember that not only am I a farmer, but I'm also a landowner and a property owner here in the city of Jasper. So I'm seeing my tax dollars go up here and I'm seeing my family farm. I'm getting it from all sides. So I'm seeing all kinds of perspectives here. So even if the decision's not yours to make, you rub elbows with people that do. And we ask that you take a quiet moment, be brave, and do the right thing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sir?
I'm with her.
All right, Ms. Kippenbrock, do you have anything about this or something else?
No.
Okay, we'll go over here.
Trying to make room, I felt like I got upgraded first class over here. Did have a kind of written, prepared comment. We want to address a few things too, with economic development projections and predictions. My job would be very easy if I knew exactly what's coming, when it's coming, how many jobs that impacts. So there are projections that have to be made and those things happen. I was trying to rack my head around a good example of this. The best I can come up with is when cities build baseball stadiums for MLB teams. That MLB team might make money in and of itself, but that stadium doesn't do anything. It's everything that happens around it that really contributes to the tax base and the consumers and the people and the tourism and that industry. That's the best thing I can think of, like, connected to there. But Du Bois County faces a critical need for that.
Will you just introduce yourself?
Oh, yeah, sorry. My name is Colton Pippinger. I'm the executive director for Du Bois Strong, the Economic Development Corporation for the county.
Thank you.
Yes, in Huntingburg. So that north-south connectivity provides a direct transportation link between I-64 and Interstate 69. The economy here is thriving, but we're burdened by that outdated transportation network that threatens our ability to grow, attract talent, and retain businesses. The need for modern north-south roadway connection, Interstate 64 and 69, is not just a convenience, but it's an economic necessity for our county. US Highway 231 struggled under increasing traffic demands, failing to support businesses and residents who drive our success. Large trailers clog our streets, slowing commerce and making daily commutes more difficult. Meanwhile, companies committed to our region's prosperity are forced to consider relocating, scaling back, or disinvesting because our infrastructure no longer meets the needs of a competitive 21st century economy. The numbers tell a clear story here. Du Bois County ranks in the top third of Indiana's GDP contributors, yet we're the most populous county without a major 4-lane highway. We're punching above our weight class when you start looking in terms of population and GDP, competing with larger counties, and proving time and time again that innovation, determination, and hard work fuel the success here. But how much longer can we do that with business struggling, with inefficient logistics, and talent looking elsewhere for opportunities? You all probably have seen the Hunden Strategic Partners report that would inject between Spencer and Du Bois County combined $300 million annually, create 7,000 ongoing job opportunities, and generate $4.33 million per year in local tax revenue. They're not just projections, but they paint a picture for economic resilience, business expansion, and long-term stability. And a 2022 article from the Journal of Infrastructure also examined data in the US from 1980 through 2016 and found that infrastructure, and specifically noting the importance of the Bipartisan Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act of 2021 that the Congress passed, spurs economic growth. And they said, quote, "The results suggest that infrastructure investment spurs economic growth because it reduces the cost of doing business, reduces transaction costs, increases the marginal product labor, and increases economic efficiency." They had some extra fluff in there, but infrastructure spending has a positive and persistent impact on economic growth. We also, we talked about it here, we have to minimize that impact to our residents along the new highway and realize the effects on those individual citizens, striking a balance between the greater good of the new road for the vast majority of those who live, work, and visit our community. And a good example is Patoka Lake. Wasn't an easy decision to make, but while it was a difficult decision, it's proven time and time again that the quality of life in our local economy is thriving because of that. And it's a huge contributor. Du Bois County has four highly rated public school systems, a college campus with VUJ, industry partners, opportunities for employment, low crime, housing, and quality of life amenities that people travel to experience. If you go to Sultan's Run or the Parklands, you see all the different license plates. But without access to modern transportation, our future is uncertain. The Mid-States isn't just an infrastructure project, it's a lifeline for our economic stability, our workforce attraction, and sustained prosperity.
Thank you.
Anybody else want to make a comment on this?
Can he look through Spencer County and see what the economic?
If you want to have a discussion with him about that outside of the meeting, you're welcome to.
Okay.
But, I mean, if you have something to address the board on, or
We'll wrap up here and we'll talk if you want to. I'll stick around. I've been here since September.
Mr. Kaiser, you have anything? You good?
I'm good, Chad. Thank you for the opportunity.
All right, you're welcome. Okay, well, hey, thank you, everybody, for your input. Much appreciated. This was a good discussion. Moving on to the remainder of the agenda, we have comprehensive plan contract. So that's the next issue that I'd like to address here. So Mr. Schnare, thank you. Mr. Schnare and I have reviewed a contract from American Structure Point. We've looked at what they would provide, what we would pay, all of that, and everything that they've put in there. They've added our language for what the required county language is.
Okay.
So they've done that. They've confirmed with me through email that this is an all-in pricing, because there's like Jasper had one recently where they thought their price was this, and then they had some add-ons of $20,000 or something, right? So I wanted to make sure that with this, that we weren't getting into a project of some sort where we think it's this much and then we have a big surprise later. This is important. We want to find out how we can plan for the future of our community, but we don't want any surprise, especially with uncertain funding going forward. I want to make sure that we're in the right spot there. Yes, Mr. Schnare, did you have any additional comments on that agreement with them?
I did not, but I think as I indicated, I reviewed the sections that you kind of addressed to me over the weekend.
Yes.
Specifically, I did not finish up on the review of it. Actually, I don't have any additional comments at this time.
Did you say?
Do you have a contract or what do you?
We do. We have we had an initial agreement. I sent them our required language and they sent us something back. So would the board want to move forward with approving a contract today? Or do you need time to look at it any further, or I'm happy to proceed?
Did they address those things over the weekend with the revised version?
He replied with, so anyway, one of the issues with the contract that they sent us, it looks like they have a boilerplate contract, and a lot of times they do things with infrastructure, American Structure Point does, and then they have an arm that does the comprehensive plans that we're looking at, and so several of their sections said things like, they had to do with specifically if we were building a building or building a road. If the construction doesn't match with the drawings, then we're responsible or we're not responsible. And so there's a number of things that aren't really germane to our project. So I asked Mr. Schneider, do we need to have them take it out? He was under the idea that it's probably cleaner if we take it out, but it doesn't really mean anything because we're not building, they had stuff in there that was extra.
Right.
So how about this? This is what I guess I would ask out of the board. As long as the items that were on the request for proposals, if those things are all being met by the contract and the price is no higher than what was on the proposal that they sent us, would the board be in favor of signing and moving forward with them?
Yeah, I mean, if legal's okay with it.
As long as he gets okay with it.
Yeah.
So how about this? I'll make a motion that we approve signing a contract with American Structure Point for comprehensive planning services once Mr. Schneider and I are fine with the contract.
Sure.
Okay, I'll second.
So you don't have the contract right here to sign?
We don't have it in final form. They're probably going to remove a few things. So all in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. So that way, Mr. Schneider and I, over the next couple of days, hopefully can get a final version. We'll sign it and we'll get moving with that.
It's currently set up for all signatures.
So I'll make it available so we can all sign it.
Yeah.
So I'm excited about moving forward with that, and I think some of the things that we talked about with the community, being able to have community voices, this is another opportunity for that. So I'm certain we'll have people that are against the mid-states corridor and people that are in favor of it. Both of them will be on that board as they should be. So everybody's voice can be heard. We can make decisions going forward with that. Another item is budget preparations. Brooke sent us out the generic empty form.
These are I print these on Friday, so they're not as of today, but they're as of Friday for the different funds that you guys can look at, and then next time we'll.
So generally what we did in the past was these are provided to us. We go through them line by line. We say, is there a reason that a certain thing should be increased, decreased, and we can.
Like I said, this didn't have the claims as of today, so if you
I have the
want
one from the other day that I printed out, so. Okay.
Is there anything else that the board needs to consider regarding budgets between now and then, other than what's on
the
here?
next meeting is gonna be a very long one, because I do have several other people coming in that feed onto your budget, so.
Like SERS,
They're all.
TRICAT.
There is no TRICAP anymore.
Okay.
4-H Council, Soil and Water, SERS, Older Americans, Life Spring, and Carl.
Mr. Schneider, would you see if Mr. Rhodes is available?
Yeah.
Please.
Do
I
we
did
need
want-
to hold a special meeting or a different meeting for just the budget stuff or not?
We generally don't.
Okay.
Just nobody.
Okay.
We may not finish it, we may finish it at the next meeting. You
Well, I
guys'
didn't know
budget's
the
kind of.
timeline of every department, is why I asked that. I mean, if
You
that,
don't really review everybody's, the council does that. You just
They
review
do
the
a
ones that
special day.
impact your office.
they do a special day, I knew that.
Right.
Okay, all right, just asking to make sure.
But if you don't have yours, I mean, we kind of need yours finished the first week of July, the first meeting of July.
Gotcha. Right.
He's coming.
Thank you. I did want to say too, just for the board, I don't know if any of you have driven through the area through Duff, but the Duff solar plant, that construction is They are mobilizing. They've got,
Moving on.
and this may sound silly, but looking at the project overhead on a satellite photograph and seeing the scope of it versus driving through and seeing the scope of it, it's gonna be a pretty, it's a major project. And you talk about farmland being used, there's a lot of people have leased their farmland for these projects, and it's gonna be, there were a lot of vehicles and there were a lot of, they're really getting at it, I guess, is what I'm trying to say about the project.
How's our roads back there? Maintaining good?
They're okay as of
Okay.
now, but I'm sure there's gonna be a lot.
Well, I know
more
there's more to come, but.
So we've got
Making sure.
video and writing of what the condition was, and we will see what that is after fact, and
Okay.
they will make it right for us if there's any damage. But that was for things that are going on in the community, that's one that if people want to see how that project is proceeding, you can go check that out. I don't have any other agenda items. Mr. Schneider, did you have anything additional?
I had sent an email out, and my computer is rebooting for some reason, regarding the subdivision bonding situation. I didn't know if there was comment from the board on that or from Mr. Weekend about the change in the pricing. I think for that was the only thing that I had written down.
I think I gave my feedback.
I didn't know if the rest of the board had any concerns or.
You know what he's talking about?
Vaguely.
So the north side of town by the middle school, there was an agreement that the city came in, we talked with them. Some of the roads that the construction people will use will go through city roads, some of them will go through county roads. They are bonding, same way that the Duff Solar people are doing, in case they damage the roads, the taxpayer isn't on the hook for it, for their damage. I guess they didn't like the cost. I'm reading between the lines that the bond cost was probably pretty high, and they said, we're not gonna use this road, and this road, we're now just gonna use these roads. So they lessened the number of roads they're saying they're going to use for the project.
Okay.
So they're trying to bring the cost of the bond down. The city of Jasper, I believe, agreed to whatever their side of it was. On our side, I responded that I was in favor of keeping it as it is, because I don't trust that they're not gonna use the roads that are the most convenient. Again, what are we gonna do? Are we gonna have somebody, are we gonna have somebody standing out there watching which roads they
I'm
use?
not sure on the
But
stuff.
I want the taxpayer to be as protected as possible, so I thought it was nice to keep it the way it was. That was my point of view. So he's asking if anybody else has one. Or we can say we trust that the contractor will use just the roads that they're talking about.
Okay.
And if you go that route, then again, I'm not in charge of Mr. Regan nor his workforce. But
Yeah.
they can certainly go police the area too and just kind of keep apprised of what's going on out there.
So it's not gonna be out there every day,
Right.
They're gonna, like you said, they're gonna use the most convenient road. They're not gonna take the same road every day.
Maybe the original. Replace the.
I agree with you, keep it the way it was.
So if the city wants to do any changes on the roads that are city's roads, that's fine, but on our side, I think we're gonna stick with what we agreed to earlier. Unless there's, unless something changes that I'm not aware of. Is that it?
That was all, thank you.
Thank you. Auditor?
The audit has completed. The exit is on Thursday. I think you've been invited. I haven't heard if you two are going to come or not, so.
I likely won't be able to make it.
I've got it on my calendar.
Okay, so I'll let you know when you're coming.
And that's the audit from the State Board of Accounts. Okay. All right, anything from the other commissioners?
I don't have anything.
I don't have anything.
Anything from the public about any other issues? I did have somebody contact me here. This one should be brief, so please bear with me. Somebody was complaining about a road sign, but they didn't send the picture, so I didn't know where it was. This looks like something that I can talk with the highway department after the fact. Oh, the reason I asked Mr. Rhodes to come in, we started talking earlier about the health plans, and the clinics and all of that. So Mr. Rhodes, we did go through many of these items. I know you were busy doing onboarding with some employees, right? So I'll just give you a quick review of where we are. And board, please tell me if I'm misstating what you said from earlier. So the adding of the copay, for emergency room use, $250. I think we were all in favor of that.
Okay.
The Blue Mind Clinic, we are all in favor of continuing to study that, so nobody's opposed of, to that. Not saying that we're fully supporting it, but we're open to hearing more information. We've also discussed specialty drugs. We haven't had any, we didn't have a final answer on if we're gonna continue to cover those, not cover them, or somewhere in between. It was just something that I think the other commissioners said they wanted to determine what kind of impact that would have on the end user. So we did talk about it going from 80,000 to 675,000 in 7 years. We agreed that it's fine to have Houchins Group run the numbers, see if going fully insured would be.
Fully insured, self-insured, captive, mixed.
Right, to see if that's of any benefit to us. We also agreed that going with Care Connect would be something we would favor.
Okay.
Instead of the group that we're using currently. The other things that were still on the list, maybe you would do a better job at this than me. In 2027, that for non-tobacco users getting an additional discount or a more sizable discount on their policy. Can you talk to that a little bit?
So right now, we're just set up with, on the medical plan, wellness or non-wellness. And there's been discussion of breaking it out yet another tier of, you know, if you're a non-tobacco user, you get a credit versus a tobacco user. So at that point though, you'd be looking at 3 different tiers. Then we would have to change the wellness platform a little bit because tobacco is one of the 5 requirements right now. So if we decided to do that, we would back that out of the requirement because it would be a standalone premium, so to speak. So
I would favor him continuing to look at it. I don't know how that would work, how much work that would be on his office to implement and to keep it going. But it's another one of those things where that is a lifestyle choice that is something we can track and something that is costly to the plan.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's worth looking at.
I agree.
So so currently it would be, if you meet the wellness goals, let's just say that the plan was $100. If you meet the wellness goals, you get a discount, it's $90 for you. If you don't do the wellness at all, you pay the full $100.
Yeah.
It could be then if you're on both of those, you would get
like $20 off or something.
Right, you get $20 if you're
Another
non-tobacco.
discount off.
Right.
And it'll be nicotine, not tobacco, correct?
Right.
Specifically
Sure.
tobacco.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's gonna be a lot of traffic.
It was,
Traffic
yeah.
and a lot of,
Right, that's the thing.
Energy over on the payroll.
It would create the extra tiers over on the payroll side. That's something we'll have to discuss. But for the tracking, we're already getting the data from the wellness screens, like we're doing this week. They're going to do tobacco checks. So, because it is a requirement, it's just not standalone like we're talking about doing now. It's just all in one will for wellness, not wellness.
Okay, so something that we'll just let him keep looking at if he wants to bring it up again in the future. If it seems like it's a help, then we'll keep with it.
so these are things you're looking at, these are not things that you're implementing.
Correct. I think we're implementing the copay,
Well, yeah.
and we would implement switching to CareNet. The other ones are things that are ongoing.
Yeah.
So that one, the non-tobacco discount for 2027, that would be something that we're just gonna continue to examine. The
Specialty drugs?
specialty drugs is no action taken today, it's just something we brought up for discussion.
Discussion.
We could, the other thing we talked about before, spouses, if we have a spouse, we can be, that spouse can be excluded if they have insurance at their other job. Currently, they can be a secondary insured, or we leave it as is. We can say no insurance for an insured spouse, or we can say, we can do it however we want. Does anybody have a feeling on that?
I never did like that if secondary spouse has a higher deductible that our insurance pays before theirs does. That's always bothered me.
So so the only way we get out of that is by not covering a spouse that has insurance available at their other place.
Yeah.
What we don't want to have happen is encouraging spouses to not work, or encouraging spouses not to take the insurance that's available or to work. there could just be an unintended consequence if we. So do we want to, so as a board, is that something we want to consider, not allowing spouses insurance on our plan if they have it available? I guess that's the, or is it not something we're willing to bite today?
I think I'm willing to look into it or learn more about it, but I don't know that I want to do that right now.
I think I want to make a decision.
What we got?
I mean, you're adding spouse, you're still paying for that.
Yeah, we've got, I mean, there's a lot of stuff on the table, so to speak,
I
of
know.
what we can or can't
I
do
know.
for benefits for, 26, 27. I mean, you want to talk about a 2 or 3 year plan, so there's a lot of possibilities, but each of them is gonna come with their own set of, heartaches, I guess, if you will, so.
It's like a lot of things, there'll be some winners and losers.
Yeah, that's exactly right, yeah.
All right, so, spouses. The other thing that is, I guess, top of the page here is gonna be premiums and deductibles. Premiums and deductibles, I think in 8 years, we've increased them one time that I can recall. And I think it's probably time, in my estimation, to raise those deductibles and to raise the premium to, we still want to have a wonderful plan, don't get me wrong, but get closer to what the market is actually bearing currently. So the current premiums, my recommendation, I think here from what I've looked at is,
I thought you voted before to do it a percentage of what the Cobra rate is. Isn't that what ours is now? And it was like
I
5
think
or
we did have
6%.
that discussion, but we've not technically not done
Right,
it.
but that was what was voted to do previous.
I remember something, we'd have to look back at some records, but I remember that
I
was.
don't remember us ever formally doing that. I mean, I'm gonna say we didn't, I don't.
Well, that's when the raise was the last time.
Can you look into what we've approved as far as premiums and for that? And then on the other end, so how about that? We'll hold that one and you'll.
Okay, yeah, we
Can you,
yeah, sure.
can you come on the next agenda for 5 minutes and tell us about that? Okay, and then as far as deductibles, right now, we are at, we're like at $500 for an individual, $750 for a family. My recommendation would be that we go to $750 individual, $1,250 for a family. Anybody have any thoughts on that?
I didn't catch what you said.
I mean, it's not a huge increase, but it's something to help keep the plan heading in the right direction.
Yeah, I don't really have a problem with that.
To how much? I didn't catch it.
From 500 to 750 for individual and from 750 to 1250 for family.
That's for people that do wellness.
For wellness plan.
Non-wellness doesn't have that. Non-wellness is,
Right, we would go up by similarly for that.
But do we want to take any action on that today per se, or do we want to look at the past minutes on that percentage thing that we were talking about?
I thought that was just gonna be regarding the premium. I didn't think that would be the same with the deductible. How about
Or
this?
that just was it premium? I can't remember.
Well, maybe look into it, and so you know where I'm coming from. You don't wanna make an increase in the premium, a slight increase in the premium unless we have a plan that we've already that we didn't implement, but we've approved. And then on the deductibles, I'd like to see that go up, as we've mentioned here. So maybe if you'll just come and say, hey, here's an idea.
Okay, yeah.
Here's where we are, here's an idea. And then, max out of pocket with wellness currently is it $1,250 for individual, $2,500 for the family? Does that sound right? That's what I wrote down.
Yeah.
So there's another area where I think we need to,
With a shift to deductible, I would shift the max out of pocket, so. If we're gonna do it.
I think I'd like to see this all lined out.
Right, because I've got it written down.
With the checklist, you're reading off a list and I'm trying to calculate my.
I'm trying to follow you, but it's hard.
Sorry.
But
We just talked about it on Friday, so I had notes written down, but I think there needs to be changes made, and so.
And I think I'm open to most of the changes that you're mentioning. I kind of want to see them all together, not that I agree to 3 out of 4, and then you look at it in the big picture and you say, oh, wow, I just raised everybody $4,000 or $5,000 a year, you know?
Yeah.
We raise max out of pocket, we raise the deductible, we raise the premium, you know? I wanna see how they all add up together.
Got it. So, yeah, with the max out of pocket though, and the premiums, the premium would be separate from the deductible, the max out of pocket, those kind of would go together.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I'm with you. I'm not presenting it in a way that's fair to my fellow commissioners, so I apologize for that. I guess I
I
wasn't,
think I got the gist of it.
I wasn't being thoughtful, I was just sharing what I had, so I didn't think it all the way through. So,
I get on the next agenda and just
those things.
run down all
Current
this
and
stuff.
future. How about that?
Bullet point them for us.
Yeah, I can do that.
For the people that weren't at the meeting, okay.
Bring
Bring
your
your
lunch
lunch
next time, I'm telling you, it's already past 11.
Is there anything else you wanted to talk about with these for now?
I don't think so, no.
Good.
Right now.
Thank you for squaring that back up for us. Is there anything else for the good of the meeting? Commissioner
I'm
Stefano?
fine, thank you.
Hostetter?
I'm good.
Anybody in attendance, last chance?
Anyone else?
All right, we will close the meeting. Just under 3 hours, that's pretty good.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
I understand that your predecessor was.
I got one, Nick, here you go.